Kolege hufanga i he ngahi talamalu o he whanua ku o swhai ati pia mi he paenga o he wāke tariwhalau i he aho whakakoloa koe ni pia kolege whakamalu atua i pe ai mo tari whiawhia ai pe aki mo tolu katoa pe ki he paenga o he wāke tariwhalau i he aho whakakoloa koe ni. Pea i hene pe hou eki mo e haamatapure whiawhia mau pe ai motu o whai whatongia ke ulawe i oku lahako i whiele rei ma oai pēa ni a whiwhio, a e tamatui, tau whahau tupo wono, kau maa whoki a e tahine kuini na naspau u tuku aho, pēa moe toenga e whare o haa moe o who. Pēa whamalo oku lau maari le rei pēa hou eki, moe haa matapure, kau maa whoki a e tonga kutoa pē oku mea mai ki he whamafola rea i he televisione, pēa moe retio, pēa mi he paenga o he wāke tariwhalau. Tari whiawhia aki mō tolu ki he paenga o he wāke tariwhalau, pēa moe ngahi proklama kutoa pē e whakahoko atu pēa mi he substation koe ni. Aia oku taku o pehe koe Piwaiu Provo substation. I he hoa e tolu koe ni te lau a whekete ngaki ai pe moau mo lawa ke whai hawahe wahe. Whakatawange pe e hoko a ngahi mea e wahe wahe aonga ia kia te koe pia moho o whamiri. Pea i hene pe, oku whenga mau pe ke wahe wahe a ngahi mea o si ilo i whakapapau e aonga kia te koe pia moau. Pea ko kore fo ke tuke taitale rea pea ki motolu ku mea mai me iulope, kau maafo ki motolu pea me Sueteni, Francais mo Itali, kau maafo ke Austria, mo ngahi whanua ke kehe o pe. Pea oku mafola i e tonga. Pea whiawhia mau pe he wahe mai a ki nau tolu nau whanonga mai, kau maafo ke sio i he televisione ke ngai polokalama e paenga i wāke tariwhalau. Pea hange pe oku nau i tonga eiki, e ngai taimi koe na tau wanga maheni ki ai. Pea tari whiawhia e pea ki mō tolu, oku mō mea mai me ngai motu moe, otu motu ko ia o Asia. Ki mō tolu ko ia ku mea mai pea me Siaina, ka maafo kia Hong Kong, Taiwan, Malaysia, Singapore, pea tau te whita whuka te mō tolu mō mea mai me he the land of the rising sun. Pea me Siapani, pea me Hokkaido, Honshu, Shikoku, pea mo Kyushu. Ai a kua e prefecture ko ia o Fukuoka, mo Okinawa. Oku na iai pea ko mafola ai tonga i Siapani. Kai ngangata pe he mari Siapani ai tonga, pe ko Siapani oku mari ki he tonga, pea mo Siapani pe oku lahi e nau i tonga, mo ngahi u tokoni ai whanua o Siapani. Tari whiawhia ki mō tauru ki he paenga i wāke tariwhalau, i he aho whakakoloa ko ni. Ki mō tauru ko ia, oku mō mea mai pia mei he the land down under pia mei Australia, mahalo mua e tukutaimi ki mō kaumai mo e poupou ki he ngā ue kaumā whoki at the land of the long white clouds. Aotearoa ia, Nuusila, whiawhia ke taitaire rea ki mō tauru ki he paenga i wāke tariwhalau, i he aho whakakoloa ko ni. Ki mō tolu ko ia mō mea mai me tonga eiki, whakatawangi urerei e mea katoa pe i tonga eiki, pea whakamalo e poupou, mo toni mai ki he paenga i wāke tariwhalau. Pea o nā ngalo, e waweni mai pe ai whuatuu o he substation ko ia, i nuku alofa tonga o he paenga i wāke tariwhalau. Mātu i koe mau taumu a ia ki hono whakahoko, ai tonga katoa pe i he kolo pe, o atu ia pe me he paenga o he wāke tariwhalau. Aia koe regular programming ai paenga i wāke tariwhalau, pea o te ai pe whoki e platform ko ia koe Pasifika. Aia te ke lawa whahoka i ha o poloklama, i he rea, i kai koe rea whakatonga, pea kau ki ai pea mo e rea whakapapālangi, puka rea whakapilitania o hange koe au tawanga maheni ki ai. Ko ki mō tolu koe au mō mea mai me he whanua i kare, me ngai state koe ia e nimanoa, kau maafo ke ngai territories koe ia o i kare. Taitari whiawhia ki mō tolu ki he paenga i wāke tariwhalau, pea lawe i he motu a whai whatongia, koe taimi whaingata a whakeni, koe taimi ni u teu ia ngai koni ai whaamiri. Pea koe kariloa hono aho, koe paenga ia e wāke tariwhalau i he ahoni. Pea mwe taimi u tau whakataataha toa i koe whaamiri e tau te pire ke mau ai mea tokoni. Wahe ai pea mwe ngahi whanawhana mea mwe ngahi ako naki goia o tawanga maheni ki ai. Pea mua toi taimi ke hepe. Kore mo ke tuka sari yang ke ne taitairere a ki mo tau, pea ka heri go ia patau toki hokad ke programa mahu inga o e aha koe ni.
In Tonga they say Malolele, in Fiji they say Pura Vinaka, in Samoa they say Talo Falava, in New Zealand they say Kiora Oe, in Hawaii they say Aloha Oe, but in America a happy day, Fia Maupe. In Tonga they say Malolele, in Fiji they say Pura Vinaka, in Samoa they say Talo Falava, in New Zealand they say Kiora Oe, in Hawaii they say Aloha Oe, but in America the happy day, Fia Maupe. Te vai le tahiti, whakala me tāna oe, alomi lomi e. Aue, te vai le tahiti, whakala me tāna oe, alomi lomi e. Tahiti nui a te whare aue, taua ere a. Mama, ia te uri aue, pea te urua. Aue,
Malo pito ho ik mo ha mata pule mo tu timing mo me mai ke painga e wa ke tariwhalau i he aho whakakoloa ko eni. Pea ahange ko e taumu ako ia e ahoni, kaueni i he taumu a mahu inga au pito ke whai ke ai wahe. Pea i hono whaka osi ko loto ke tau wakai i ai taha o hingahi vitio o ko tui mahu inga ke toko atu. Pea, koe ai e kumanat mea ri he taimi kotoa beko sia i ke haamonga a Maui. Koe uhi koe haamonga i he taimi koe na e kauia i he wheituu na e tuku mai ki he koristonga ke nauhanga o tauhi a he haamonga. Ko manatu i oma upe ki ai whai ai kini Antui whakina ke ha misini kosi. Koe misini kosi ia koe utape ai lori e taha, pe lori e ua, me he whunga mana mo ui pe a whanonga atu rewa, pongi atu ki ai. Pe i he ene pehe, o ku mau mea takonia i he hoata, ko manatu ina e ai mau pe mau umu manioke, pe a taoi mo e sipi kapakapa. Pe i he taime nihi, hanga e se whana peko i noke peko langa kāri o wha ngahi pe e mau mea tokoni pe toki mau mea tokoni e hoa tā pe me iai. Koe taime nihi ko mana tui na mau whahanga mau tolu o mau e whanki puaka goia ne wha oad ko ia ki ai o whae ngahi mau o hoko ia ko e kai hoa tā mo e kai e fiafi ai whanau ko ia ne ngoa te ke whaia e whatongia. Koe taha ngai mea ko manatu i, pau mau pe ke kini mau pe ai ngai hala ko ia, pea me he haamonga ki tahi. Pea ka pau te iai pongi ia. te kai hopo la a pa te hanga whātonga I hopo hake la a he ono fitu ko osi mau pe ai ngai mea koe ni ono ngahi hala I haamonga. Pea koe haamonga whoki e wheitu ko ni lahi e siare mohe mohe. Koe tā siare mohe mohe mau pe ai korisi pau mau pe ke whai me wheitu ko ni ngahi ake a pea mui ngahi umea kehe pēnei wha ngau e aki. Koe ngau e lahi e ni pea ko mana tu iau ia e ho iki mui hamta pule. Na e whai e ngahi u ngau e pēni he taimi koe na e wha ia e ngahi mea na e ui koe taimi re o. Pea ko mana tu I. Koe tutuku koe I he tēmi ulo aki, mo e tēmi hono ua, mo e tēmi hono tolu. O pau mo pe ke whai e reo. Kai ke a usia e ku whakau kau, ta koe uhinga o e reo ko whio ate pe o ngā ue. Pe au ia ko ate pe o takatakai hlo po whaisiana kau tamai au kuna o kai haase mani o ke e korisi, pe taake kumala e korisi, pena iai foki pe mo ngai maala e kau whai ako, vanilla pe mo e vesta polo. Pea ko manatui I he taha o ngahi reo koe ni. Ki anga e kusio koe I he tainimi ki he anga o e safety. Whao pe ai siare mohe mohe I loto I he lori. Lori kulo kula whakeni o o ki he ato pe mau he kai funga ato. Taha piki pe aika lere mamari e pe foki ai lori o ki he funga mana mo ui. Kai ke hataha e la vea. Ka go tui o kai koha mea le rei ke whai I he tainimi. Kai ke, koe manatu meri e ki he haamonga a maui, he hoko ia koe makatu. O tuu mau I he tau whakakaukau. Pea I he taimi kotoa pe u tau whakaukau ai ki he maka whaakinanga, kau maafo ki ai haamonga a maui, maka tolo a maui, pea moi ngahi u wheitu u kehe whakahistoria o I whanua. O kune o mai mau pe ai whakakaukau ki a teki tau tolu, ai ofa ki he tau whangakui, ko nau mama o atu. Pea moi ofa ki a teki nau tolu ko nau tau reka reka. Ko ia ko whaamu ke whai ai vahe o he whiawhi koe ni. Whakatautau te whito he koe uhi ke hoko ai ngahi mea o vahe. Koe ngahi mea pe ke whakalahi, whakarerei, whakamama, pe toi whakamala alange ai ilo, ke tau mua ko ia o e ahoni. Ko ia ku whakamalo lahi ka teki mo tolu ho mo tuku taimi ka mo mea mai ki he pahenga o e wāke tari whalau, ka kua e kore me he motu a whai whatongia, ke mo eiki pe mua. Ka mohanga share te tau palokalama ke kau mai ha nihike. He koe tahania o he tau mua aonga au pito ke teki tau tolu he ko tau tolu o kuiai tau kau tau reka reka. Pe ko koe koe tau reka reka. Koe tahani o ngai mea o ku mau inga. Pea o ku mau inga au pitoeni he koe ngahi palo pare maeni, o ku lahi au pito e ngahi matakari ke he, koe uhi koe lahi hono toka ngai, hono ngahi whakatotoloi. Pea mauai pea mo ngahi teita ia aki nau tolu. Manatu I fo koe tahani e tau palo pare ma, koe hina e whakatahai ki tau tolu ia pea mo I kau esia. Koloto ke tau mata tatau mo I kau esia, koloto ke tau sino tatau mo I kau esia, pea kui kai ko hano toko hifoni ki nau tolu, pea pe he whahinga ni tokua na tau hau me kakai me esia. E anga whe nai ha tupu ha kakai lalahi me whahinga ki I kakai iki. Kau ia he ngai fo I whananga ia tonu ke taofi, uhi ku hala mama o au pito a ngai whananga ko ia. Kai ke, koe palopare mai au tau wheohi I he whanua koe ni, pe mo ngai whanua ke he. Pea whakataha I whoki hange koe ni. Ka taimi kou whakataha iai e tau wako tuunga whakaako. Pea hangari le rei ki tau tolu whaoi mau pe koe Asian and Pacific Islanders. He ku mo oni pe le rei ia ai tō lahi angi o e a usia le rei o e ako ai matakari mo i kainga pe me esia pea u kai ko hano tuku hifo ki nau tolu. Ka koe taimi ko ia o whataha ia ki tau tolu pe hangere wa ia u tau asi le rei. Tahani o ngai poini whewheka nau hanga o tuku atu e ngai discuss ko ia e federal law. Me wāwhe mā fitu. Pea na eke pego ha e mau whakakau kia i pego ha o ngai wheu i ko ia ki he university, ki Brigham Young University, pea na e wahe mai ki ukau i he kau tokoni ko ia ki ngai whamatala ko ia. Pego ngai poini ana aku ngau e aki. Pakapau te tau tuu whakataha mo ki nau tolu fuulalahi au pito pe ki tau tolu ia peo kai ki ta tau ha tau fofonga. Ulu ngā tau whahinga kai pea mo e ofa whonua. Kai ke hange ko ia ko na e wha asi tō kua ai dropout rate ai tō lahi ko ia pe koe rate ko ia pe koe pe seti ko ia o e whanau nau nofo mea ko te egai ke mao hanau tipiloma. Na tau kau tau tōre he pehe o kulerei whataha pea mo kau esia. Peseti pe ia nima ke peseti e fitu. Me me unofo ma upe he wahaa ko ia nima ke he fitu. Pea hoko lerei ai ngahi u wahe ko ni pe koe taimi ko ia na e to'o ai ai kau esia ka tau nofo ata pe hoik mui haa mata pule. Ta koe rate pe koe pe seti ko ia o e whanau nau nofo mehea ko te ikai ke mao nau tipiloma na tau nofo dau tolu i e pe seti tā fitu, ke ua fitu. Pea mei o ko mui mao pe a ngahi kautaha, ngahi department ke he kotoa pe a Pureanga Amerika ke Potungawe ako. Pea i hene pe he ko i anga ko ia e tau whakape seti o mo i le rei. Ta tau pe. Taimi pe u to'o ai e kakai e sia me te ki tau tolu ta koe o kutoe ki i koviangi anga e tau tuunga mo ui le rei. Whakaloko fua. Kono uhi ngā pe ia ho e ki mui hama tā pūne he toko si ho tau kakai. Kaike i he taimi koe ni hono kamata ke komi whakau auririki pea wakai i a talafau. He o koutui o kulahi au pito e ngahi mo oni o nofo i talafau. Ko nimo pe i talafau. Pea mahino mai rewa koe whakalalahi ko ia o i paloparema koe ni whakaesino koe kansa i he koutou reka o kutoi koviangi koe uhipe koe tau tokosi. Ka te tau sio koe hana i ngahi whakatotolo na e whai whikau aki mo i koutou reka. He kufum hau inga. He koe ne nau whakakau atu i kau Asia, whakakau atu i kau India Kula, whakakau atu ki ai pea tapurang pe mo ki nau tolu koe kau uri me Afrika mo e kakai ko ia tupuhake i heni. Pea oku me koe reiti ko ia oku me utau wofi au pito ki ai. Ka koe uhinga o he wahe ko ia o he ahoni, ka pa ukaha mo koutou reka, mo shea te polokalama, uhi he kwhaya nia i he rea whakatonga, pea whakamatala i ha whaunga e lava ka ke meai, pea mahi noi. Ko hi ke tau lava o tokoni e tau koutou reka, ke nau mo uile rei. He koe lue holo e tau koutou reka, hange koe lau e kau pālangi, koe fuulai peri o e ilo, mo e matao. Pea ka taimi ke nau si mālolo atuai, o mawahe atu ki he mo ui hoko mai, ko whaamu, ko nau tuku mai, fuolo e nau mo ui heni pea tuku mai a ilo mo e tau kei, kia teki tau tolu ko ia hoka atu e whanonga, pe tau whai e mea tatau, he taimi te tau stepu atu ai, ki he mama hoko mai, kia teki nau tolu te nau, mui mai ho tau tua. Pea koe tahaia o he kaweinga mahu inga ko lota ke wahe atu i he ahoni, koe ha a ngai whatotolo wha mui taha, koe ha rewa a ngai whaunga te ke lawa o toko ni iai. Aho o kau tau reka ke mahino ka nau tolu, pea tau ngau e whakataha ke nau mo ui rei. He koe tau o ngau e ka tau hao peo kumi e tau kui, pea ku nau i whia. Pea kei tonga eiki mahau na kui uta, pa te alu ki uta. Ui he kuifo ai ngau e moki nau tolu. Pe koe huola falafa, pe koe keri, ha maala, pe koe kini. O tatau pe. Whaamoange ne mau he ngai mahino ko ia he taimina i kei mo uia e kongo kui. Kana si malolo atu. Te kai ke mau e fu mahino pe ka e kai ke ngalo i he motua whai whatongia e ongo. Pea kou iloi ko e whai ngā ongo tatau ku ke mau. E ofa ki whai toka. Manatu merie ki whai toka. Kai tau te whitu a teki nau tolu ko ia o nau kei mo ui i he ni moki tau tolu. Tuku at lewa ke whai e wahe heni ka mahalo. Oku ki i tuke atu ha ki fo i tuaki pe taha o iki mo e hamata pule. Pe o atu mo ki fo i whasi ke whamama whana aki pe ko tau foki mai pe. Pa tau sio lewa ki he kano kato o e wahe ko ia o e ahoni. Pe tau toki mui atu ai pe ke osi a he wahe ko ni e aonga lahi au pito. Malo.
Koe whanonongo eni me pot ngā aue a puri anga Amerika, kuri toka ngai kina mo ulelei ai kakai. Whakapapau i oku ke malu i aha o whanau mo whamiri e whonga lelei taha teke lava, ai a koe huhu malu i COVID-19. Ko os ngāhi makehe ai huhu malu i ma ailonga i whanau tau nima ki e tau tahataha. Koe ahoni kua me te tau pe ai mau he COVID-19 e kakai lalahi mo e longa i whanau. Kua whapapau i whoki koe toko nima ko toa pe o mau he COVID-19, koe toko taha ai koe longa i whanau. E ke lewa ki o toke tā, ha whahinga whehu i whikau aki mo e huhu malu i, pia kumi lewa ha wheitu e anga huhu o whitaha ki a koe i e website www.vaccines.gov. Whakapapatu me pot ngāwe pure anga Amerika o kune toka ngai kina e mo uilelei a kakai piko US Department of Health and Human Services.
Tulo e tapuha tupua Isa e palolo o e tala ki tonga Api fua meli e liu loto ai hala o ata Lea ai toa o po walu Toi whakamaunga Te whakatulo e tapuha tupua Isa e palolo o e tala ki tonga Api fua meli e liu loto ai hala o ata Lea ai toa o po walu Toi whakamaunga Tau malingi ai ofa mei he langi Mata tau wheiva koe siweli o kui whekai Inumia koa mana melie mei he langi Ki foa ki koe ki e te au o e toto ko o whaloi Tau malingi ai ofa mei he langi Mata tau wheiva koe siweli o kui whekai Inumia koa mana melie mei he langi I foa ki koe ki e te au o e toto ko o whaloi. Ka papuna he I ka le tū uta e tawanga kingi hapa. O whae he henga koe ka veinga o whainitu ua. Tula he telefoni le ia sila tonu o kuhonga. Tau lewa ana e ua lisia koe huelo o e laha. Ka papuna he I ka le tū uta e tawanga kingi hapa. O whae he henga koe ka veinga o whainitu ua. Tula he telefoni le ia sila tonu o kuhonga. Tau lewa ana e ua lisia koe huelo o e laha. Tapai kina I he langi maa ai si I whainga. I kuna IPA he palani o I kompiuta. Ka whakawheta I ki o lunga ai whekumi kua lawa. Ko malo ai langa whanua pēa mohe I ki pule anga. Tapai kina I he langi maa ai si I whainga. I kuna IPA he palani o I kompiuta. Ka whakawheta I ki o lunga ai whekumi kua lawa. Ko malo ai langa whanua pēa mohe I ki pule anga. Halahi hipo hei lala moe kuni o tangata. He koe hakoa koe fungani lele I taha. Ka te kina tae liliua he koe hiku sila. Ko whangai kai liliua e lawi kuonga. Halahi hipo hei lala moe kuni o tangata. He koe hakoa koe fungani lele I taha. Ka te kina tae liliua he koe hiku sila. Ko whangai kai liliua e lawi kuonga.
Whamalo pito ho eki moe haamata pule ha mo tū taimiga mo mea mai ki he pāhenga e mā ke tariflau. O la tū ia pia moe hiva o Palolo Palu, a ia koe hoa ia o Polontelo Palu pia nengo ku mamao atu ai togoa. O ke iongona pia alaha e ni ngāwe. Ko iai ho eki moe haamata pule I he kumi ko ia pia sio ki he pia mo analyse ko ia ngai statistika ko ia whekau aki pia mo e kansa. O ki nau tolo ku neongo o ku asiheni ko e tau fitu noa ki o lungaka ku te sio pe u kamata I he tau nima noa o kamata I ene alu ki o lunga. Ko nima noa ki hono noa ku maalunga au pito fitu noa u toi maalunga ange. Pea o toton lewa ke whai ai tokanga makehe ke kau tau reka. Pea au whamalo ke kau tangata nana au whai ngai whekumi ko ni heuk mahu inga. Pea ko ngo I ke vahe ia mo ki mo tolu ko hei ko e lahi. O I kakai tau ni manoa whai ki o lunga o ko mau ai palopare mako ia ko I kansa. Pea kore whamore pe ki he mātanga mo ki mo tolu ko mo mea mai he televisione kau mafo ki a retio. Pea whatawangi o kai ko ha whalanga manatu ki a te koe. Kai hoko eni ko ha whakamama ki a ngai mea te taulawa o tokoni ke tau kautau regereka. Pea I he ngahi hoko ko ia a ngahi mao ko ia a ngahi ola peheni. Pea o ton ma upege vahe pea mo tau kāinga. Uhi he koe ni ihe nia o ngai whatotolo le rei taha mo laka ki mua. Taki mua e ngai ilo peheni. Pea I kai a koia pe Ka ko ki motolo ko ia o ko mo mea wai pe ki he pahenga wā ke tariwhalau. I he proklama e pure lulu a ia ko e lofa talamatangi. O ku kauenia i he ngahi ilo whakatu ki muataha o te kai ke ilo i he e ngahi mitia lalahi o kauai a tonga eiki. Pea o mai rewa ki a te koe, wahe i he rea whakatonga, neongo e tuku atu a ngahi slaiti i he rea whakapālangi. Kai ke koe whakatolo koe ni koe mea mahu inga ni na nauhanga o mai ai kāinga o nau tau whinungo fulu o whaiki o lunga. Pea nau sio rewa, koe hānai ai whaahinga mea e lawa ke whai, ke tuku hifu ai ai pēseti goia e kautau reka o mao ki nau taulu he kansa. Pea wai rewa ai ngahi whepo tānoa aki, koe hā ai pēseti goia o tau pehe o kusai, koe ke hā pēseti sai. Koe noa, koe pēseti a go o tau whie mao. Pe tatau e pe ia pe e lawa ia hoko pe i kai ka koe noa. Koe pēseti a go o tau tokanga ki ai. Tokangai, tau kau tau reka, tokangai ki tau tolu, mo e whānau, whāmokopuna, whāmakapuna ka teki mong tolu ko moa o ke tuunga ko ia. Ko hi ke lava e ngai tokoni ke whāmiri, ka inga, kau maafo ke ngai funga waka ko ia o mo me ai. Pea i he whepo tāno aki mo e, koe taimi ko tau pe ko mao ai e ngai u, heu peheni anga e ku ngāwe, o ku, koe ngai u top scientific journals ko prescribe ke nau mea o kui koe early alert. Pea koe ne taimbe ko maua mea peheni ko sio rewa ki a ko hai ai ofa ko ia te lava o tohi ki ai ha te emaili o whehui. Pea koe taimi ko wha hangai o polusi ai ngahi mea peheni he ngahi u channel whakasai nisi o kulahe o pito ngai whehui pau lota whia o tari ki nau tolu. Pau pehen pe koe te whitu taket koe ki he ofa no whia. Pea koe ni ihia ngai mea o ku nau talamai o ku iai e nau kautau reka ma o ki nau tolu he kansa. Mo uile rei kai ke ifta paka pe ao at peo tau whitu noa pe ma o nau tau he kansa. Pea koe tahaia o ngai mea ku ne whahanga o whakalangai ai ngahi whakatotolo whakasai nisi koe ni. Pea nau peherewa ki nau tolu koe hānai ha ngahi mea i he nau sio ke ngahi u whakatotolo ku o si whai i he kulupu koe ni, kau tau reka, tau pehepe koe kulupu ia, kulupu make. Ko tui bau tonu ke uia koe kulupu hangi koe lau e kau pālangi, koe fuu lai peri ki nau tolu ilo. Koe kulupu iau tonu ke whahingoa nau tolu ki ai. Pea wae taimi nihi wae peha tau whaahinga o kai ke nau hangi u tūnoa e kau tau reka, pehe dogoa ko osi ho nau taimi. Kana i kai kau tau reka te ta whē, te tai whē, pea hangi ko lau a whenmotu a mi tonga mamao, kala i loa ia. Kono mo o ni ia. Tuku ke tau ofa ma pegi he kau tau reka pea tokoni ka teki nau tolu he koe tau tuu i he ngahi uma ko ia o ki nau tolu koe kau tau reka koe kau saia niti ki nau tolu. O lava o toi ki mama o hangi e tasio. He o ka pauna i kai e kau tau reka he kai ke toi mama e tasio koe tua pei tō peo takatakai haloi koe ngā tā peia. Kono mo o ni ia. Kai ke pea ki hanga rewa whātonga i ta koe uhinga ia no whaawhai e ngai whātotolo pēni o kui kai koe ngata pē e ngai mea whaka educational kai ko hi o ku personal ka nau tolu na ia e nau kautau reka lo tonga mao he kansa wa nau kautau reka ko nau si more e nau mo ui ke kansa. Hoko rewa a ngai mea pēni ka ngai mea aonga ke te koe pe moau ke ta ako mi ai. Pea nau pehe rewa e ki nau tolu koe hānai ha whahinga mea e lava ke whai he kautau reka, e lava ke whakasi isi ai kansa. He koe kansa, pea kore pehen ke tari atu e whihu i koe ni. Koe kansa o koe ka tautea ia me he o tua. kauia I he ngahi whakakaukau o ku ton ke whao ia ki tangai pearia tu ia I he tuariko ko ia o makeke. Koe kansa kotoa pe ko uhi ko ngai whehalaki koe ke lava he sino o whakatonton. Pea I hene pe koe motu ange ko ia ai tangata koe whakalalahi angeia ai whainga maarie ke kai ke lava toi whakatontonu he sino ai ngahi useo ko ia ko si whehalaki e nau ngahi misini ko ia au nau whaihono toka ngai pe o kui whakapapahalangi pea taku whakasae nisi koe DNA kono mo nia ai au ko ofa be ku mahino ngofua e koe aluan koe ke te matu ange koe lahe angeia ai paloparema o sino ai risko ia ai kansa suka toto maalunga me lahi ko ia ai ngako pea kamata ke hau mo loto ngalo mantu I foki ko tau whangakui te siari dake tau hiva ua oku kei maa sila ai atamai hange piau tau anoa ka koe anga ko ia e tau nofo whakapai ai muri mo mea tokoni ko ia ai taini mi ho tau taimi kune hanga o whakawawei ai ni ihi o ngahi paloparema koe ni nei kai ke tau wanga maheni ki ai. Kai ke, I he nau lava ke nau sio koe hānai hangahi mea e lava ke whai he kau taureke reka ke lava whakasi isi. He kai ke lava ia noa ka koe tau mu afokia ke foki o noa ke ona mao hataha I kansa e kau taureke reka. Ke tau mu aia, tau mu a fisi mua. Pea ukai ke tau pule ki ai, kau tau fotu e tau mua ke tau ngau I ki ai. Koe harewa e tau mea au whai, tau whenga ke lerei e nofo I api maa ngai mea au nau nofo ai. Fo e ngahi u pilo, ma ngahi u mea pe ke maa mau peo lerei e ngahi mea au nau mohe ki ai, nau mea tokoni, ai e ngahi mea tokoni o ku mo ui lerei. Pea koe ni ihi ene ngahi mea koe na u wangamaheni ke heu tupu ho mau api. Koe taha ngahi mea na wanga maheni ki ai me he monite ki he sāpate hau eiki moe haamata apure. Oku ai haka makehe ai kukui, tere ai talo pia whahiua pia vau. Osi pia toi whao pe ia ki ai, e taimi nau kei si ai nau whaa pehe. Mea mau taimi monien. Koe hao hinga o toi whahiua ai pia vau, pia toi whao pe kia tāpuni I pia toi haka. Kaike. Koe tahai ngai mea nei talamai he kukui ke te au. Koe taimi go ia o ku vau mumana tui whoke talo. Wangai talo e ni hia he talo te a. O ku whiki I whewheka a loto. Talo tea pe talo futuna pe ka hapea whainga talo. Koe taimi go o ku whahiwai pe paurewa ke vau o atu whakatahaya ki loto. Mono ki me iniu pe tāpuni. Pe ko ene moho ho eiki moe haamata apure. Koe molu atu ki he kai e kau taureka reka. Koe whanki mea peheni, kai ke toi keheia mga I whakatotolo whakasai nisi koe ni. E tau whangakui. Heu whea mau peke nāna tolu ki uta. Kau ia hengai mea taha kua. Hangi nai ne whakapiko ia he taimi koe. Kai loto mau pe kui, he wai ene ki I na ai mau pe ene ki whakapeito ana. Koe uwhirei. Pea o kua tui au ia e mate e tangata iki ka pauhika ki aluia ki uta. Koe ne alu atu pe, pea mau orewa ai mau kai pongi. Osko i August, tanguta te tangata iki o huo. Taata aki. Ene ki uwhirei. Na ai mau pe, ai uwhirei hangena ai mau pe toa ngahi ulu akau ke kaka ai. Koe ngai whamau I sino ia, whie mau ke whai he kau taureka reka. O nau takataka I holo pena toi uta o hange pe ia, o toi whoki e nau manatu ke ngai taimi koe na nau mālohi ai. Iho tau taimi, hono whakatotolo I whai mea lalahi e tolu koe ni. Pero mea ni au fu mahu inga, tau te whito kia te koe pe mua u whakapaia I ngai whanua muri. Ko tonga eiki, lahi e tau nofa ta toi tua. Mo tau takai holo I tua. Koe ngai whanua muri, ka pau ke ngāue I loto whare, lahiange taimi unofo I loto whare. Hangeo ki mautolu ko ia Utah, ma ngai whanua mo ngai wheitu mo moko, ke he pia sinou, lahange pe a nofo I whare. Pea oku, iai mau pe palove ape oku, talu e ku lere mai ki he whanuani. Ki utane tahiwa ua he kai I toi ngalo ia te au he tau ko toa pe. Aia ko e whaarea ko ia I tonga u pe ko e hau whaarea. He ulahe taimu te nofo I loto pa te ko mana te ulere atu he wafe hongo fulu ko ia pe mau tata iki ki tonga. Ko tala mai he kau ngā mea na mau wako. Ko hange au I ha pālangi. Ke lahi foki a nofo ko I whare, pe hange ku hau wharea. Pe au kai iai rewa palopare mai ko uhi, he kai ke loko mao ha te vitamin T. Ke vitamin T whakanatula lahi taha, ko e takai holoko iai tua. Ai au kai koha ngai mea fo owen, ka aku wahe ni hu mau inga, uhi ko e taimi ko ia aku kai iai e ki fo I fingota, kaloa, ika, feke, moa ki lo I anga, peko ki I wa sova. Oku iai rewa ai ngahi u mea lalahi ko ia oku I ko I omeka. A reo ka baute mo manatu I ngahi mea ko ia, e mahino le rei rewa ka teki mo tolu a ngahi whakatotolo ko ni. Ko tahaini o ngahi whakatotolo ko loto ki tuku a te ahoni. Nau hanga rewa whakatongai, ko e kautaure ka re ka mahina whakulo blahe nau nofo I he ngai whare ko ia o tuku kia e kau vai, kai ke ngata pe ai ka ulahea nge ngāwe I whare. Pe aku si rewa ai vitamin T ko ia oku mau. Pe aku tatong lewa ke tatokanga. Aki taua ko ia o ta mau e mahino whaka ektemiki ke hinga he umea koe ni. Ai rewa unau pehe, e lava nai he vitamin T. He ka vitamin T a ku hau ia he supplement he tainimi. O ke lava pe o mau ia I he tablets, lava pe o ke mau ia I he capsule, pe o te ke lava pe o mau ia o ku hau ia formu ko ia o ku ui ko e kamis. Hangi ha te kai pulore. Pe folo. Ko e ngai mea lalahi e tolu na hao hei ai vitamin T. E lava nai he vitamin T o tokoni ke whakasisi. E lahi ko ia o kakai umao he kansa ai au nau kau I he tau reka. Pea hoko rewa ai taha o ngai uhinga. Nau pe fefe ai omega 3 pe koe omega whika tolu. He koe omega whika tolu ho eki moe hamata apura ku mauia pe mei he tau ngahi mea tahi. Ai feke, kaloa a fingota, vāsuwa, kaua tikai moe moko hunu, rimu, me ngahi mea ke kotoa pe mei tahi. Pea koe hanai hono uhinga au ngai ai omega whika tolu. Sai, mo mana te taimiga na te komia ha te ki mea lere fo ou. Pea kai ke ngata pe he kore pe ke u whakamalo te pe he talamalo e whanua ka ngā pe mua e rea mahino ngofua. Pea whakatawange o kui kai ke whakamatatua. Kai mahino ngofua. Ka taimiga u maa te ki mea lere fo ou. Kai ke ngata pe he na namu fo ou. Ka u te sio ke fo I wae ki mea lere koe fo ou watu. Ka ke manatu, ka ose e tau e nima ko ia enelere, ko kamata ke ha more ai fo I wae. Pea koe ne ha more ko e fo I wae, pea koe taimi ko ia tō maha sino, ke teki mautolu ko ia I Utani, pe ko Colorado, pe ko ngai state ke he o ke ia sino, kau e pe mo Texas, wha tō ia sino, wha mālo ka teki mo tolu mo mea mai ke pāenga ka mo eiki pe mua se atu e tau polo kalama. Koe moloke koe tau fia pea hange ulere pe ku he heke at pe mea lere. Koe tai mini wha awhiki tai ki he mau lere hanga tonu pe awhiki mata u lere hanga tonu pe ia. Ko hiu kai ke te ai ha mea ke lava o ke ne hanga o puke. Me he wa ki he hala. Ta tau to pe mo sino e tangata. He ko tau kiri mo ngahi membrane ko toa pe I he sino o e tangata. Cell ko toa pe I he sino e tangata. Pe sete ono noa o e fatty acid ko ia oku I he cells ko e omega whika tolu ia. Oku iai. Kai ke ngata pe I he ne ngāue ke anga fitu taki mo e whepo tala noa aki whakaneawe ai ngahi u selo. Ka auto e hoko ia ko e konga ho tau kiri ke malu I ki tau tolu. Pero taimbe ko ia oku kai ke lahi ai o meka tolu pia paloparema ngai fitu taki hange u soki ngai u feitu ke ke. Ko si ko ia o meka fika tolu kai ke rere ngai fitu taki. Whakanea ve pia kovi lewa pa moi kiri. Aia kono ao ngāia. Ko tahia ngai whiu ina nau eke. E lawa nei ki hoko e o meka whika tolu ko mea tene lawa o tuku hifo. E lahi ko ia o e kansa. Pea ko hono whaka o si. Ko i hanai ha whaahinga exercise. Whamahui sino. E lawa ke whai ke tokoni ke kautou reke reka. He koe lahi koe te whamai sino ha te lue pe koe haa pe whainga whamai sino. Kai ki ngata pehe le rei ai hanga takai koe ia ai nima, vae, ulu, ngahi konga ke he koe tawa pe. He koe taimilahi koe ni kai koe ke whakangao aho ngai a ngahi mea pehe. Pea taimi koe uhika ke nima ke ala ka mea ka mata ke whai e toe, moi oi. Pea whakatahai koe ia ngahi mea koe ni, whakatonga I rewa he kau whakatotolo kau sainisi koe ni, tā oku I kai koe mea e taha, ko nau tolu whakaluku fua. Whakatahai ate o vitamin T, nau to'o he aho kotoa pe, mea nko umari e. Koe kau tau reka reka, koe atu koe tablets, koe ke flosa ia kau tau reka reka ai. Man tui fuk lahi e nau, ai ngai medication. Koe atu koe capsule, ki sai ange, koe no atu koe o e kamis, koe ohofi atu koe lahi fau. Pea, nau whatonga I rewa kono atu koe vitamin T, whatahai atu kei moe omega free, o supplement whoki e nia, aia koe tau kaimi atahi a koe tonga. Pea whatahai atu kei pea moe ki I whamahi sino, koe kātoa e fo I tolu ko ia ko aia ka fo I tapa tolu ia ko loto tu wai ai mo oni ko ni oku holoki ai kansa e kau tau reka reka e lava pia o a au ki he peseti e fitu noa ai rewa te koe anga ia koe o ngahi whekumi anga ia o ngahi ola o ngai whikumi koe ni, pia neongo o kuri pōti pia ia ko pepa e taha ka koe ngai whikumi ke heke. Pia toki whakataha I ki nā tō nau sio rewa ke ola whakaluku fua. Koe nihi pia naia o ngai mea koe e te ke lava o mea atu ki ai ka ukai ke fuloko ao ngai ke vahe uhi uku lahe ngai mea ia o ku iai. Ka tau vahe pe a ngai mea ko o ku aonga lahi. Pai te mohanga whakatonga I hen I he konga koe ni, mo tolu ko ia mo mea mai I he Facebooka, pe koe YouTube. Ke hanga rewa whakatonga I koe taimi ko ia, e nau ngai whakatotolo. Nau whakatonga I kapau, e ai pe vitamin T, o ai pe hono lere, ai pe omega free, o ai pe hono lere. Kapai ai pe ki whamaisino, o ai pe hono lere. Pea pehe rewa e lau ko ia e motu a me paintua. Pea ka whakataha I ki nau tolu, pea lore ai mea kotoa. Taimi koe whakataha I ai fo I tolu ko ia, ai to'o ai vitamin T, to'o ai omega whika tolu, pea toi kauat kia I mo ki whamalohi sino. Pea ne hanga rewa e ia o tuku hifo ai pe seti ko ia o I kau tolu ke reka ma o I kansa ki lalo. Kai ko haki tuhifo si tuhifo lahi au pitoen. Pea kono uhinga ia o whai e vahe I he fiafini. Ka sai, ai rewa koe nau kono whakamuri tuku ia. O nau pehe kono whakatahai, whakakatoa. Ai to'o ko ia o he vitamin D. He koe vitamin D o ku hao mea ia, ko he whanki tausia ko ia o ku kaipeha fo I kamis he ua ko o si lahi ia. Me koe tausi ko ia o nau hao mau pe I he microgram. Pea o hatu ki ai moe omega 3, pea airewa, pea moe ngai whamai sino I api. Taime nihu tangut pe mohenga, tuake pe pa tangutu, tuake pe pa tangutu. Lue takai holo pe I loto, peko tua, lue holo pe I tua. Whataha I ko ia, ai ngahi umea ko ia, pea unau whato ngai. Ko e lahi ko ia, o e peseti ko ia ki he invasive whatu utamaki ko ia ke kansa, oku aloi foia o pesete o nongo futupu. O hange ko ia ko lau ane nai, nau whatoa e nau tolu me ko e whakaluku fua ia o pesete o no taha. Kana iai ma upe e whanki me au hange ko ia o kui ma upe ki nau tolu ki nau whai e ngai statistika, ko whanki outliers. Wai kalasi au toi lere iangi, pea wai kalasi kai ke fuloko lere, pea kono whakatai ko nau sio ki ai, aia kono whakaavarisi ia, peseti e o no taha. Kana o sia o e kalasi e ke pesete whinoa. Pea kono uhinga, hei koe kakaia ko mai pea mihe ngai whamiri o ku mao ki nau tolu ia he kansa. Koe tahaia ngai whehu ina eke o ku hoko nai ai kansa ko ha mahaki whamiri. Koe tari ki ai ikai, lahi ange pēne ikai. Uhihe ku me koe ngahi u eremeniti kehe o ku nau tānaki ki he kansa. Aia koe anga koe ia o e nofo ia wheitu ulahi ai e ngahi tisolo, pe koe pollution, ngahi mea tokoni ku ke mau, ka pau kai ki te mau, ngahi mea tokoni nerei me fruits, vesta polo, pe koe plant-based, me ngahi whihalaki he sino, kai ke lava he sino whakaton tonu. Kau kai ke pehe ia koe kansa peha taha whamiri koe, whamiri ku mau na tohi kansa I pe ai kakai koe ia e hoko mai. Whehu le rei au pitoni ka oku ikai. Pareo te mohanga whatai kono whakaluku fua ni o e ngahi whakatotolo ko eni. Mantu I koe ngahi u kongkonga e whakatotolo na e whakatautaha pe oku hanga nei he vitamin D o tuku hifo. Hanga nei he omega 3 o tuku hifo. Hanga nei he ki I whamaisino ko ia I api kau tonfo ke hano ki I polo kalama ona. Aho ni te ke lue fiha. Tangutu mo tuu e fiha. Ngai umea pehe. Pea kono whakataha I whakakatoa. Una whatonga e rewa. Tuku hifo a he kansa ia koe ni a risk koe ni a peseti e ono taha kono whakaavarisi ia. Fu mahu inga au pito. Aia koe fo I tolu e ho iki mo hamata pure. Tolu la lahi. Ke tuataha ki fo I tuaki heni e taha matau fo I fasi. Ka tau toki hoko atu. Ki mauloloa ai
Whakatapu he ki he a o whanga Kai ata ke pofola e whala Paula vea tu ke kaweinga Ai poa e mohono tala Iwe mai poa e te ratu
United Kingdom of Foa. Pe tau mua ngā ue ki whakaivia ai ngahi whamili e wāhe ngā Foa. I tau lele iange ai tō ngā whakako. Mo ui haisi ni hange koe tauhi e ngahi apolo e maa. O ngā whakaekonomika. O hange koe whakatupulaki e mau anga ngā ue. O aki ngā ue I whalehanga. O kanga. Tai. O mauto e rau kawe I foki ai mahu inga ke iai hapalani ngā ue I hoko koe whalawa anga I whanonga anga o e moui. E tau mou mataha, piki hama kai vai manawa. Pātolo ake whakalakalaka ke tūloa e ke kai mo inu ai. Ai tau tangata oi wahinga fua. O mautu o pā ke whai o mautu ko ingata e le lei whalu fua a koe moao o e tangata I whanua o fua. A pāpātu United Kingdom of Fua.
Moe api ko nu'u se ilala ko e matapa ko hula ko patunga koa te ilau ko hoku mamana ko e tanu pau aku tolana waka ika he ika I te kenalo ko e misiona ke whakakakato e mate he ika I te kenalo toki whetau laki aki he kolo Isa e tau tā moulaka ko e whatongia Kolosi he koho loto ko hota misiona ko e pau aho ko e kosi oto whakawale loto Kua o kalipea fua hoku kolosi ko itaniti ai pele ngesi I aki eku o whawhaka kalaisi Te ia ata ini maitaniti Isa e tau tā moulaka Ko e whatongia kua lama Ko e paleia o ko whaka o tua Ua tanu kou nei mua Seu ke whakamole ka usani tunua E kua mapati ai wha o whangarepa Ai alaha ai whei lau A kau waka Ko e kaia ai mate maatona Isa e teu tā moulaka Ko e whatongia kua lama Ko e paleia o ku whaka o tua Ua tanu kou nei
Whamalo pito ho eki hamta pule mo tu taimiga mo mea mai ki he paenga e wā ke tari whalau. Pea ohona angalo mo eki pe ka mo shea e tau polokalama. Ai rewa kono whamuli tuku ia o e wahe ko ia ko e mea lalahi ko ia e tolu na e lava ke nauhanga o iloi. Ke oua e whai takitaha ka e whakaka ke hoko ia ko e polokalama. Ai rewa upehen, ai a koe o meka whika tolu, ha uia me ngai mea tahi, i loa pe whoki ai pia miheika. Tāna kia tiki ai pia moe vitamin T, pia kanoni aki rewa ahono whai ai ki i polokalama whamai sino tuu mau. Kai pehe koe lue pehe moni te. Ka bau koe lue whahe moni te pe whai ha tangutu pe moe tuu i he tūsi te. Ha pia ngahi mea ko ulawa ke whahoko. Ahano ki palani. Aia koe ngahi mea ia e tolu. Ho eiki moe haamata pule. Te nau lava o tokoni ke tau kautau reka reka. Ke nau mo uire rei. He ko hea anu hinga o tatonu ke tonia ke nau mo uire rei. He ko taimgau ta whoki mai me ngā oe. Te mao e mata mari te shati ke te kui sio mai. Pea mari mai, whakarea mai. Pea wifo rewa, pea ngalo ia kita ai hela ia. He ku te ilo ku ahonga e te ki ngā ue o kwhai, hange pe ia ha te ki to'o maha te ki oa. Na te alo whaha te whahangota. Te whoki atu ki api, o ku iai e mea rei iai ke whamiri. Ka ona te whoki atu tai ki api, siei whai ke oa ka iloa e mea koe nai lo tō pehe ki taia o ku nimo i talawhau, ka ue kai ke nimo i talawhau, ta koe o ku whangota ia o whai ki he katoama. Ko iai ho e ki moe haamata pule o ku matu aki mahu inga au pito e ngai mea lalahi e tolu koe ni uloaki, hanga o palanii, whakataha pia moe tolu reka ai ki i polokalama whamai sino. Uloaki konoua, o ku lava pe ia o kapau peu ka kene mao ha mea tokoni me haika pe koa mea tahi. Lava peu whakatau mai pia me he whare koloa maa au pito. Ai omega 3 supplement. Pia kohono tolu lewa, te o mai maha supplement ki he vitamin T, kabau kai ke loko lahi, ai alu kai ki tua. Koe vitamin T, une toka ngai, ai immune, te vitamin T, une toi toka ngai, ai lerei ko ia o e hui, ko le pegi hufanga e whatapu, ka maa ngai kongale la lahi kau ke ai pe mo immune system o sino e tangata. Pea ona ngalo koe omega 3 i he cell kotoa pe o sino e tangata mo e whewhine o ku iai ai omega 3. Ka paurewa ko e level ho omega 3 he taimina ke i talavou ai o ku pese te walunga fulu. Taimika u te nimanga fulu e whai ki olunga kua holo lewa ki lalo. Pea hange ka whaarea ko ia a si mua whakailoa tonga ko whai e pomu. Ko e pomu ko e kaha pe ia whai ki o whaatika ko e simoa, ka maafo ke korismoa, manu whailoa tonga, mo ki mo tolu katoa pēo mo mea mai ke pāenga i wā ke tariwhalau, pēa sea te tau polokalama. Kaike, ko e nihia o i ngahi mea la lahi pēa ko whaam ke tau whaosia tiki ke wike kaha u. Ko loto ke o mai ai pēa kwai mohavitio ke tukua te wike kaha u, ai rewa ko mea ko loto ke wahe wiki ka hau. Ko e ha o mea e whai tānaki atu ki heni. Ko e ha e whainga mea kai whakatonga e lava o tānaki atu ki heni pia mo e ha hono uhinga. Kau wahe atu i he rea whakatonga ai ngahi whamatala pia mo e ngahi whakatotolo wasai nisi ke tau ngahi mea kai whakatonga. Kau kia e lai a kau, lai pere, lai lu, kama foki, ai lai komala, pea toe o atu ki ai, pea moe lai longa uha. Ke mon tolo ko iau te kei ke mou mea i ai longa lava pe ke mou eki ki hanihi kuna o singawe aki, Pea I kai, pake mea mai ki he programa hoko mai, kai vahe atu ai uhinga ulele ai, e ngahi lai a kau koe ni, ne wha mak mea tokoni mea e tau whanga kui. Tāna ki ati ai mo tau ngahi Vesta Polo, tau wanga maheni ai I tonga, mo tau ngahi mea kai tonga. Ai rewa kono, whakaluku fua hau eiki mo I haa mta pule, o mai pehe o tua e tau ngahi mea tokoni tene hanga o whakasisi ia ngai palopare ma koe ni. Pea oa na tahanga o ngahi mea tokoni, pea tahanga toi tāna kia te mo ngahi mea tene hanga ia o whakatupu ke toi lahianga. Ka koe kore ke ona mō tuku e polo ka mā ka mō mea atu ki mō tolu, ka mō nofo peheni, uhi he ko loto ke kau mai ai konga ai whahinga, ko hi ko lahi ko e whai e polo ka hama ko ni ko hi ko lahi ai kore mai, whai mua ha tānaki mai ki heni ke tokoni, ke hanga koia o e whakatau api. O kuiai tonga heni na e kau mai ki heni he ui, mahina ko osi a eni, ko e tonga ka e Maripalangi, ko Tema Hankin, a ia ko e Kongatonga, pea Mariha Moa, pea kulahi ange taimi una tokoni ai ki hota o kakai, kaugai e motu a whaifatongia. Pea ka uhi ka ku ilo I lerei e nao ngahi ngau e lerei, pea o ku aonga ke vahe eni, pea hangi ko eni, nao lava nao toria o whai a ngahi mortgage loan I estate ko toa eni manoa o Amerikani. Pea ko uhi ko e network koia a tema mo eni, te tau lava rewa o motolo ko mo mea mai ki heni, pera pau mo fi hiki ka whainga state, hau ki utani, ko tema te lava o whawheo motolo, toni ki motolo, ke mau a ngahi api I ha whaunga le rei taha. Aia e whaka atui, le rei kia te koe, le rei ka te nau tolo nau hanga o sell and now property, pe me ngai mea pe peha I he hoa whaka o si, kau mei ai e toroua koia ko tokata hālaki, na mangawe I he makahoko walu, ko e tangata e ki tonga Paralangi eni. Taha ia kau Palofesa University o Kansas, pea tare kitai I he media education ngahi umea pehe. Whai hawahe wahe I whikau aki, koe ha, ai whaahinga taumua, pe koe whainga meita, pe hoko I moha karia, ngahi mea pehe, ko mato aki mahu inga, koe uhi koe loto ai toua koe ni ke tokoni koe tau kakai, he kai ke ngalo ia te ia ai ofa ai kakai tonga. Nena ngau I ngere ia, ngau I whasi, funga whanua, kau maa whoki ai makawa walu, pea mo I otu kine kina. Ona mo tuku e tau plama, kai tau klosi rewa he ke a tema, ke lava o tokoni mai. Pea, ko iai ho eiki mo e hamata pule, mo kataki o wahe atu ai Polokalama, ke lava o kau mai ai whahinga tokolahi ke lava o nau tokoni, ke hanga ko ia e tau ngawe. Oh, tema I o di lime.
Too soon, eh?
Huh? Yeah.
Okay, you call me. Just text me. Thank you.
No, you're live now. We're good.
Okay.
Let's go. So is Bobby gonna be on?
Yes, she will be joining us. Oh, she's here.
And I'm trying to get my picture on here. I mean, not my picture, but me.
Okay.
Let me see here.
That'll be great. Good to see you, Tema. How are things going out there in the business world?
They are going, or I'm surviving, barely. Things are going well. How about with you?
Oh, we're doing good. We're doing good. And thank you for taking time out from your busy schedule. Also for Bobby Hansen, being here to share very important information concerning the topic that you want to share, things that related to our people. And a lot of times we look for the best way to do things. I think that's how I like to put it. How you doing, Bobby?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Doing good. So
Good.
I'll turn the time over to you two for a little brief introduction, then we'll go from there, if that's okay.
Okay.
Bobby, you go first.
Okay. Well, hello. I am Bobby Hansen with Academy Mortgage, and I've been in the mortgage business for, oh gosh, let me think, 15, 16-ish years in there. I was in the legal field before that for 20 years and was a court reporter and worked for a lot of law firms. And I just, for me, what people will ask me frequently, how did I get to be a loan officer? And for me, we got into a really bad loan on a home that we had where it had all kinds of fees and we didn't know, like we weren't told these things. So my son-in-law, who is also a loan officer, said to me, you really should go and take these classes that was at the mortgage company where he was at. So I did that, and now here I am doing this. But it was really our own bad situation where people get into that with home loans, and not as much now because that was a long time ago. But it's my pet peeve that they don't teach these things to people in school, high school or college. And how can you know what the best loan is with the biggest investment in your life if you're not taught those things? So that what kind of motivated me.
Awesome. That's great.
Awesome. Thank you, Bobby. You're amazing, and I'm so grateful that you are taking the time to do this. My name is Tema Hunkin Lawson. My parents are from Samoa and Tahiti. We do have ties to Tonga, of course, and all of the Pacific Islands. And I have had a real estate license almost 21 years, very long time. And I've kind of been in and out of the business with graduate school and other employment opportunities, but I've always had a license and I've loved it. I got into the business because I worked for a commercial real estate firm in Virginia and loved it. And I thought I just fell in love with it 21 years ago, and actually before that even. And then my sister and I moved to Las Vegas. We got our licenses in 3 weeks and we started selling real estate there. And so it's great. And I often hear, just like you, Bobby, I hear the stories of where people are taken advantage of. And that's why I love what I do. And so thank you so much, Dr. Balu, for having us on so that we can talk about these things, because they are important. And like Bobby said, this is the most expensive investment of our lives. And so we want to equip everyone with knowledge on how to go about this process.
Oh, I love it. Love it. So you two said that there is 4 simple steps for us to prepare to buy a home. But I like the last part, and keep the home. I'll turn the time over to you two to share those 4 simple steps and how to keep it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I do a lot of business with Bobby. In fact, I am so privileged to do business with her because she's honest. I don't know when she sleeps. She works around the clock. It's almost to her detriment, right? Because we all should take a break. But in this business, it's hard. And so, Bobby, thank you. You and I met, I believe, through one of our mutual clients. He referred you to me, and we've worked together since because I loved your honesty. I loved your follow-up, and I just know that I can trust families that I work with and love dearly, like my own family. I know that I can trust you with them. And so Bobby and I together came up with these, we could do 10 steps, we could do 20 steps. we wanted to narrow it down, right? To try to simplify it. And we are both available at any time to answer questions, because there's always going to be 10 questions with one of these simple steps. But in the interest of time, we'll share what we can, and then we can always come on again or answer questions after the fact. And so Bobby, I'll let you, I mean, we just want this to kind of be an open dialogue between the three of us, really, to see what we can share and how. Oh, this is what I wanted to say. Everything that we'll talk about can be universal in the United States of America, right? Because these simple steps apply no matter where you live in the US. And Bobby, I don't know if your mortgage company is licensed in other states, but
yes, yeah, Academy Mortgage, they are national, so
they are national, exactly. And so this applies to everyone, because Dr. Balu, can you tell us where most of your viewers and listeners are? Are the majority in Utah? Are they all over the US?
They're all over the US, but they're quite 30% of them here in Utah. I think a lot more from California, of course, and all over the place, including New Zealand. And I think the reason why it's good to have this kind of knowledge, so if they ever come to the United States, they know who to contact and who can help them buy a home. And having it 4 simple steps, how you prepare to buy a home and keep the home. I remember when we first moved here in 92. We wanted to buy a home in 92, and somebody told us to go and talk to, I forgotten her name, but we went. She was gracious enough to took us without any appointment. And so she asked us a lot of questions, and after that she said, okay, you're not ready to buy a home yet. You have to establish credits. And she walked us through how to establish credits. And the thing that she taught me, I have never forgotten. She said, if you get a credit card from a store, like that's why we end up with R.C. Willey's and Sears at the time. Even if you buy something that is $200, don't pay them off. If the payment is $10 a month, do that on a monthly basis. So that when you establish that, they say, okay, with a small amount of money, he was consistent, paying it every month, all the way when it's done. So things like that, and of course, will increase. But when they see, when you're ready to apply for a home, they will see that if he can manage a small one, and there are big ones like our car from Hawaii, you know. We came from Hawaii, quite frankly, 13% rate. Unbelievable.
Wow.
And then we went here to Utah Community Credit Union. It was down to 7 and way down from there. So things like that, she said, if you can do that, I'll give you a year or two, then you'll be ready. Sure enough, we were ready in 94. So,
wow.
But my experiences like that, when I saw the 4 steps, I said, man, I wish you two were around then. We were connected then, so I will follow the 4 simple steps. So
that is wonderful. No, I appreciate that. I actually think that in America we fail our youth because these steps should be taught in 8th, 7th grade. I think we wait too long till we're out of high school and college to then figure out, oh, what do I need to do to, so many families that I meet with, they don't know the steps. And if we teach these things to 5th graders and they keep learning, by the time they graduate from high school, they will be ready to buy a house. And that's where I think America is lacking. And I don't know if it's on purpose so that there is a business, so we have jobs. I don't know what it is, but that is one thing that I really want to change. The state of Florida, there are 8 states where they're now requiring high school students to take these financial literacy classes, but I don't think that's soon enough. I really think they need to start when they're in 5th grade, because these are simple steps. They really are simple. And so it's not rocket science. It's just a matter of having the information and following through just like you did. So sorry, I talked too much. Bobby, I'll let you kind of guide us as we go through these things together.
Yeah, okay. Well, Tim and I have talked and over different files that we've had over the years, you know, we've discussed about, okay, what's the number one thing that we think people need to think about first? And with all the people that I've worked with, I find that the expectation of that loan is the most important thing, because there's other things we need to do, but everyone's expectation is so different because their file is so different. And they see billboards on the freeway where, you know, it says things like 2.99%, and maybe rates were really at, you know, maybe 3.25%. So everybody thinks they should be getting that for their loan. So that's their expectation going into it before they really do anything else in applying for their mortgage. So it kind of throws them into a tizzy right off the bat. So it's important to know when you see a lot of ads on Facebook or billboard ads or ads on TV, those ads are being focused to the perfect file. So that might be somebody whose credit scores are over 800 and they've got maybe 40% down. So that's who they're focusing on, is that perfect file. Once you go in and you think you're getting that perfect rate, and then they're going to say, well, sorry, you can't have that rate because of this or this or this, but they've got you there. So it's a good marketing tool, but it annoys me because I think it's really deceptive to people that are trying to shop, and it's dishonest to the average borrower. So that's one thing that I think is just really important, is what your expectations are going into it, and to be open-minded and be willing to learn and be taught.
So Bobby, you're saying when we're driving on the freeway and we see those billboards, don't believe them, number one, right? Unless you be very cautious, because it could be a gimmick and they just want to pull you in to have you call in and then start the process. So
sure. And
I like that.
That's okay too. You want to get the process started, but just be careful that you're not seeing something and assuming that that's your file.
It applies to you. Okay.
Yes.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, I asked
Thank you.
Tema. Oh, thank you so much. I asked Tema a question because I saw some advertisement that says something to the fact that you can pay off your home 5 to 10 years without increasing your mortgage payment. And I'm thinking, maybe I'm not smart enough in mathematics. And how can you do that without raising your mortgage that you have to pay, pay extra or something like that? So,
Yeah.
but kind of questions and advertisement like that. So I'll turn the time over to you two. That you say something about the 222s, what that is.
Well, there are ways that you can pay off your mortgage early. I get a lot of questions from people, especially lately, on maybe I should get a 15-year loan. The rates are usually a little bit less on a 15-year loan. And yes, that definitely gets your home paid off quicker, but it's also almost doubling your payment on a 15-year loan. So what I recommend to people is that when they close, and I do recommend a 30-year loan only because if you're on a 30-year loan and something happens, like you lose your job or somebody gets really sick in the family and that forces you to have to work less, you're not going to be bound to that 15-year loan payment. You've still got that 30-year loan payment, and you have the option to pay that. Well, you do have to pay it, but you do have the option to pay extra. So I recommend trying to pay an extra principal and interest payment twice a year. And you can pay that anytime you want. You could add it in monthly to your payments if you want. But I find the best solution for most clients is that if they make 2 of those principal and interest payments a year, that's going to cut about 7 years off of your 30-year loan.
Wow.
And it probably is not going to hurt you too much to make those extra payments. And remember, it's just principal and interest, not the entire payment for your loan. So your payment's broken down into your principal and interest, and then you've got taxes, and then you've got insurance, And maybe you've got PMI also. So you only want to pay extra on your principal and interest, just that amount. So
Okay.
say your total payment was $2,000 and your principal and interest payment was $1,500 of that. You only need to pay that $1,500 extra. And you want to mark on your mortgage coupon, or if you're doing something online and it comes off online on your payment, make sure that you mark the box that it's for principal and interest only. So by doing that twice a year, that saves you 7 years off of your 30-year loan. And that's an easy way to do that.
Oh, so for example, if I pay extra that amount in January and December because maybe you have a bonus, that will actually save me 7 years.
Yeah, about that, depending on each loan.
Wow.
And you know, also.
But that's for every month, I mean, that's like for several years. It's not just 1 year.
Yeah,
It doesn't
yeah.
knock off 7 years, right?
Oh, right.
Yeah, this is for the
If you've
life
got
of, yeah.
Yeah. If you've got a 30-year loan and you pay those 2 extra payments every year, then it'll be paid off by, say, the 23rd year.
Wow.
That's
which
how
is
that
great.
works.
And the way I do it is we take those 2 payments, principal and interest, multiply it by 2, and then I divide it by 12, and then I add that little bit every month to my mortgage.
And that's perfect.
That way it's
too.
easier for me because I don't get a bonus like, you know, Dr. Palu. And I have to pay taxes. I don't get tax returns. So it's kind of annoying. But,
Okay, I have a
one-
question here
yes.
that was sent in, and the question was text to me is, which one is better, pay extra for your principal or pay extra for your credit? I mean, for the, or pay extra for both. He said, I found that paying extra for your principal is much better. What do you guys think of that?
Well, I think, again, it depends on each different person. Sometimes it's better to pay extra on your debt to get your debt paid off, because usually your accounts are a higher interest rate than your mortgage. So it's better to do that. And that may help your credit scores a little bit more doing it that way. But like you said, when you spoke with the lender many years ago, they told you to not pay those off and just keep the balances low. That's very true. That's going to help your credit scores raise. So you want to be aware of, yes, paying extra on your mortgage, but you also want to be aware that if you keep your balances low on your accounts that you owe money on, that's going to help your credit score also. And that's pretty important too. So I think it's good to look at both ways.
Okay.
And perhaps it's if you're able to financially do both, right? So
Yeah.
I guess that's a really good question. If that person has a lot of credit card debt or a car loan that has interest, I would put the extra money towards that, is my personal opinion, because I want to be rid of, high interest rates and high payments.
Yes.
But if you're able to do both, then by all means, I say do both.
And I personally think if it were me, I would work on the debt first. And I'll give you another little example. When I'm working with people for their mortgage, and they're really tight, and say they want to get a $500,000 house, and their debt ratio is really high, you are going to lower your debt ratio more by paying down your debt than you would by putting more of a down payment down on your home. So we work with that with clients a lot. And say maybe let's not put quite as much money for a down payment, and let's use some of that money to pay off the debt. It will drop your debt ratio lower quicker. And that helps your credit scores too.
Awesome.
Very good. I like that a lot. Great. I'm glad that we have live questions. So you interrupt us anytime, Dr. Palu, and let us know what people are asking. Bobby, what are the 222s as we now get into the pre-approval topic?
Yeah. So I tell people there's a 222 rule. We have to have your last 2 years of all of your W-2s. If you only had one job, great. If you had 3 jobs, we need all 3 W-2s of all the jobs you've had over the last 2 years. And then we need your last 2 years of taxes, and we need your last 2 months of bank statements.
Okay.
And it's important to be aware that sometimes it's hard to collect documents. People have a hard time collecting everything, but we have to have those things in order to verify your work history and your income. And especially—
So repeat it one more time. You said 2-year work history. What's the next one?
Yeah, so we need that 2-year work history. So we need your last 2 years of W-2s. We need your last 2 years of taxes. And then we need your last 2 months of pay stubs.
So let me switch this in Tongan. So you need mo tolu ko ta peu fie whakatau a pi pau ke iai ma peho W2 ke whai tau e ua. Toi o atu rewa ki ai moho o tax ko e na e whaere ki mo tolu ko mea ko i Amerikani. I he tau e ua. Pea whakaausa i rewa i ho pay stub ko i he mahina e ua ki mua. Ai koe fo i me ai au tatonu ke oange ki he market company pe na ohanga rewa tala mai pe o ku ke qualify pe i kai. So I'll turn the time back to you too.
Thank you. Bobby, what about tax returns? Oh, are tax returns always needed? Or what if if they have a W-2, do they need tax returns?
Yes. I mean, generally. But and there's, something else that I've got in my notes that we can talk about too in the pre-approval process. But sometimes in the pre-approval process, our automated underwriting will come back and say, hey, we only need the last year of your taxes. So again, we say expect to get 2 years. Sometimes we'll only need 1, but expect 2. Just expect that may be asked.
Awesome. What about last 2 months bank statements? Is that not necessary?
Sometimes it is and sometimes it's not. So if they are doing a 0 down program, and let's say, for example, they have somebody that has gifted them their earnest money. And now we're getting into maybe more questions they might have, but if you're not using your bank account for anything in the transaction, then we don't need their bank account information.
Okay.
But if they're using it in any way, then we do need the last 60 days of their bank statements.
Great. Okay, that's helpful. And with regard to bank accounts, right? Maybe we have several bank accounts.
Yeah.
Let's definitely use the bank accounts that don't have any overdraft fees, you guys, because I know we've had some challenges, and hey, we're human. I can be the queen of overdraft fees, but as soon as an underwriter sees bank statements that have overdraft fees, that's a huge red flag, right? So we want to make sure we strategically use the bank statements that show good spending behaviors.
Yes.
And habits.
And so it doesn't mean if you have overdraft fees that it's going to kill the deal. It doesn't mean you can't get your house, but be aware that when you're getting prepared, you want to make sure your bank statements are clean for 60 days. And if they're not, if you have another account, sometimes we can, the lender can help you to switch some funds over to your other bank account or your savings account. And we could use your savings account where it's not going to show overdraft fees from there. But they do like to see the funds have been in there for 60 days.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. We got the triple, quadruple twos. So that is great. Yes. And the 3 of us prepared a little document for us to follow. And I like how you said, is this necessary before home shopping to get pre-approval? Yes. And I'll just tell you my answer, since I'm the one doing the shopping, right? As the real estate agent, the answer is yes, a very big fat yes. Yes, it does not make sense to go and look at homes or even look online, which I know is hard for all of us because we're very tempted and information is at our fingertips. but you set yourself up for failure if when it's time to get pre-approved and you're not pre-approved for the $1 million homes you're looking at, it can really be discouraging.
It's depressing. It is. And I'm shocked at how many people will call me and they're asking me questions, and I can tell they're preparing themselves, and yet they will say, oh, well, I don't want my credit pulled yet because I haven't found my house yet. And so they don't understand that you have to make sure you have all of your financial ducks in a row so that you can go out and look for the home that you want.
Yep. Yeah. I love that. And a pre-approval it can take how long, Bobby? Really as long as it takes for people to, number one, fill out an online application, which is very simple, or you can talk to a lender over the phone, but that authorizes lenders to run your credit, and then you need to verify, right, everything that people have uploaded or entered into their application. And that can be quick sometimes, right? 24, 48 hours.
Yeah. Okay. And then sometimes it takes weeks longer than what we thought it would, because the employers are taking a long time to verify and fill out the documentation that we need, or they have filled it out wrong. We find that a lot, especially with jobs where maybe they work in the oil fields and they pay them differently there. And so then we've got to go back to the employer and say, okay, we need a little bit more explanation on the pay. And so all of that comes into play on the pre-approval. But it's so important that the borrower knows how much they are pre-approved for, because there's a difference between getting pre-qualified and getting pre-approved. And a lot of people think they're the same thing, and they're not. So to get pre-qualified, all we do is pull your credit. And we say, hey, your credit looks good, but we don't know anything about their employment history or their income. And so that's where pre-approvals come into play, because that's when we check with the employers, we check their income, and we make sure they're right in line with the home that they want to buy. And sometimes that doesn't come back properly, but that's why it's important to get pre-approved, because we want to make sure it's right when you're getting ready to go shop and look for a house.
Awesome. I love that. I feel like we set our clients up for success when this pre-approval process is done, and it's right, because here's the truth, right? You don't want to shop for a home, fall in love with it, and then later find out, well, I don't want to pay that payment that's attached to that house, right? And then all of a sudden your whole experience is just negative, and we don't want that. We want to set everyone up for success, and we want people to have a good experience. Yeah, because it's already emotional and stressful as it is. I mean, we're already gonna. So I always say, when someone's getting pre-approved, to determine what their monthly maximum payment is that their budget will allow. And a lot of times for us as Polynesians, we have what we call fa'alavelave in Samoan, or kavenga in Tongan, right? Where we have those first year birthday parties, huge weddings, funerals are huge. And I don't knock any of that, because that is part of who we are and our culture. And so that, I always say, remember, it's not so much how much we're pre-approved for, it's how much do we want to pay, because we might need to have our money saved for travel or lifestyle, or to prepare for funerals and birthday parties and all that comes along with our culture. And so that's why it's really, really important. So to determine that before you talk to a lender, not the reverse.
Right. And in that process, we're going to look at something called debt to income ratios.
Okay.
And there are guidelines that we have to adhere to. And your debt ratio, when you look online, it's going to say your total debt ratio shouldn't be more than 43%. But honestly, I have a lot a lot of clients that have a hard time keeping down at that 43%.
Okay.
And so usually people are around the 47, 48% mark, and we can get pre-approvals at that amount, but you want to make sure of where you're pre-approved at, and is that where you want to be?
Okay.
So,
Tema and Poppy, I remember we have about 8 minutes, but there's a question here on Facebook Live
okay.
from New Zealand. And the
Oh, kia ora.
question, yeah,
Yes, kia ora.
the question is, would you get penalized by the bank if you put in a lump sum towards your mortgage?
No. There are certain loan programs that used to penalize you for doing something like that, but most loans now, they do not. You can pay whatever you want on your principal and interest. It's not going to lower your
Prepayment
payment.
penalty, right, is what it was
Yes.
called. And
Yes.
I remember 20 years ago, loans had a prepayment penalty. And
That's
so
what I had on that
Yeah.
loan I was talking to you about that we had. It was a huge penalty, and we were so angry and so upset about it because we didn't know that it was even on there.
Oh, wow.
But I don't know of any right now that even do prepayment penalties.
Yeah,
on anything.
it's been years since I've
Yeah,
heard that.
I don't know of any. So no, you're not going to get penalized for that. But just be aware that when you do pay extra on it, it won't lower your payment. It's going to be set. So you have a fixed rate and you'll have a fixed payment. The only time your payment would change is if your taxes go up or if your insurance goes up.
So,
Okay.
for example, if I have $100,000 I want to put down right now, and that will not lower my payment if my payment is $2,000 a month, right?
Right.
But it will cut short the amount of years that I have to pay, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
So Bobby, would in that instance, if the goal is to have a lower payment, right? Would you recommend that they refinance if they have 100,000 to get a really low payment,
Yeah.
or what do you
You
recommend?
could look at that, but
Okay.
usually I'm not a really big fan of refinances, but sometimes they do make sense. And so you just want to make sure when you do refinance that it makes sense for you. I typically say you've got to save at least $200 to $300 a month if you want to refinance.
To make it worth it.
Yes, because it's going to take you, the average is about 4 to 5 years to make up
pay
the
it off.
cost that it costs you to refinance. Now your refinance fees, and when you close on your loan, those are tax deductible. A lot of them are. So you want to make sure whenever you do close on a home, whether it's refinance or purchase, that you look at your papers that you get at closing, because your accountant, or if you use like TurboTax, something like that, it asks you questions. Did you purchase a home this year? And you click yes. And then it's going to say, how much was your origination fees? How much did you pay in taxes? It's going to go through that with you. So it's not all bad to have that expense if you refinance or when you purchase, because some of those fees are tax deductible. But when you are refinancing, you definitely want to make sure that it makes sense to do that. And if you've got 100,000 and you just want to pay it off early, then do that. But if you have reasons that you want to lower that payment, then you want to at least look at that and see if it makes sense.
Awesome.
Hey, we have about 4 minutes left, Tema. So
Okay.
I'll give you the time to finish up. Then we'll
Okay.
schedule the next time to continue the conversation in the paper that you share me. That would be great.
Okay.
Perfect. The next 3 topics we were going to cover are credit scores, income type, and employment type, and then down payment, savings, or reserve. And so maybe we just cover the one, Bobby. What do you think, real quick?
Yeah, I think let me just touch on credit scores a little bit. You've got to use credit cards in order to boost your credit scores. Many people want to use cash, which is great, but it's not going to help you build your credit. So it's really important that you have 2 or 3 cards, and say you start out with one with a credit limit of $500. Don't charge more than $100 on it. Maybe do 2 tanks of gas, and use those credit cards to build your credit. Don't look at them as things to put your expenses on. View them as only cards to build your credit. And that's going to really help you. And it might take, 6 months or so, but that's what you need to do as far as building your credit.
Awesome. I love that. What about adding people as like if I'm a parent and I have, is it a 16 or 18-year-old, like I can add them to my credit card as long as I have good spending habits, right? And that'll help my children build their credit.
Yes, it does.
Right.
And I help a lot of people where I'm helping them build their credit right now. I can find ways to get them on an authorized card if they don't have a family member, because the authorized card is really important. You need somebody that has a credit card that has a history, so over 10 years old, and you want it to have a high balance, like maybe $10,000 or maybe even $7,500. But the ones that I'm putting people on has a credit balances of like $15,000, and the cards are over 12 years old. So it's it has an old history. Yeah. So you want to show that it's a really, really good account, but you also want to make sure the person whose authorized cards those are doesn't use the card very much. So you don't want more than a few $100s on it, because that will show up on your credit. If you are an authorized user and say your mom's card, it's your mom's card, and they use their card a lot, that debt's going to show up under your name. So be really, really careful that it's not used a lot. But if you're on a card like that, it's going to really help boost your credit.
Wonderful. Oh, thank you so much, Bobby. Dr. Palu, do you want us to just share how people can reach us for further questions? And then it's almost 8 o'clock. So
well, don't you put out your number and information, and that will be enough for today, and then we'll schedule for the next time to finish those 4 simple steps.
Okay, yeah, we're happy to do that.
Bobby, you want to share first how to reach you?
Yes. So let me give you my direct cell phone number. The area code here, if you're outside the US, it would be 1-801-860-8400. And if you're in the US, you don't need the 1, it's just 801-860-8400. And that's the best way to just call me or text me.
Awesome. Wonderful. My number is 801-691-2500. You can also contact me through my website, which is temasellshomes.com. TEMA sells, SELLS homes.com. Thank you so much,
Great.
Dr. Palu. This was so fun. You. Let's do it again.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm ready when you are.
Thank you, Bobby, and thank you, Tema. See you too next time. Yeah, malo. Thank you. Ko ia e ho eiki mo e hamatapule tau ko e ngata ia o he polokalama ki he whikau aki pia mo e anga ko ia e vahe ki he real estate. Kai tuku mua ke tuku ki fo i whasi heni ki fo i tuaki pagahiri ko ia pa a tau whasi pia hoko mai rewa e tokoua ko toki tahala ki malo.
whakatolo ia ku ngauhi pia vilohi pia mix mei palataisi ke whakatori a ngahi whakaamu whakasino mo ata mai ke mili pia ke whakasanisani mo masani mo whakamanifi pia ke foto aki ia ki hakato ngauha aholahi pia ke toki ilo ai e mamani koe loloni ia koe tāpu aki mei langi o ua he he
Teke ae lolo kakalatea ene manongi whakataru o kai fiafi pea le ngangatu ene to o ngaki a koe moa Siva mai taini Samoa
Hoi ki mo ka inga tonga i kale. O kuke fie mauna i hao ki ha moa o iloa ko ie vai pe ie ini. Awa. Ko ne pepe ini o kune whakamahino mai ai au iki ai kieni pia koe mate lalanga seuke. Hange iana e lalanga i kamisini kako eni. Koe si nima amoa mo pe ia si ngai fae me i ha moa. O kumao hene sais keke ika ingata pe i au kako lahi o kie. Tā mai lewa ki hoko pe toi putu. Pe whakatau hao kie ke laulo tahai ho foi pere i kare. Fika telefoni, valu noa valu, whani mafitu ono wha hiva ono. Valu noa valu, whani mafitu ono wha hiva ono. Koe Lotaki Enterprise here.
Papa anga o manu mata
Whamalo pita hoi ki moe haamata pūre mo tū taimiga mo mea mai ki he paenga o e wāke tariwhalau ko e re oia o kepa mau mau ko e tamaikia pia me he paki moe toi. Pia whamalo pia taitarelei he ni a e tokoa koe ni toki tā Tomasi Halaki ki he paenga e wāke tariwhalau. Pia fia mau pe he hau e tokoa koe ni ke whai ha wahe wahe. Koe tokoni pia moe ofa kia tau kāinga. Dr. Halak, welcome. And
Aloha, Pito.
Yeah, mahalo. Congratulations. I saw that you and Tammy bought your home here in Utah and you're back here in the good old state of Utah.
We are. We've only slept in our home for one night so far. We're with my mother this week, taking care of her, but we're glad to be on our own home and starting to settle in a little bit.
Awesome. Say hello to your mom. I'm not sure if you remember there was one time your mom sent a big box and stuff to you and me in Uiha, and I still remember the chocolate chip cookies.
Yes.
And
it took 6 months to get to us.
and the funny thing that I'll never forget from that letter your mom sent, you sent her a picture of you and I in Uiha. And she said, you guys look like two elephants. I think we gained a lot of weight during those times. Too much good food in Uiha, for sure.
We were fed very well in Uiha.
Too much
good feke.
Yeah, too much loifeke. Well, tell your mom I said hello and appreciate her over these years that she has been very helpful to you and me in the islands of Uiha. So
she will be happy to hear from you.
Yeah, thank you. And so you complete your move from the University of Kansas back here to Utah, eh?
Actually, I am still working for Kansas State University. They're allowing me to work remotely, so I'm still on the faculty there.
Oh, awesome. The remote work has been a blessing.
It has been.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll turn the time over to you because I know you have something that you are passionate about that you like to share. So don't be afraid to use a few Tongan words here and there.
Iyo. I have to remember, I told you before that I use my Tongan mostly in the shower. And so I understand everything I tell myself, but I don't know if I'm always using correct language or not.
Yeah, time is yours, my friend. Then we'll just go from there.
Well, thank you. Well, one of my responsibilities at Kansas State University is as the internship coordinator. And so part of being an internship coordinator is helping students to prepare for jobs. They're just one step away usually from finishing their education and going on to get their job in the career world. In fact, I just met with my interns this afternoon. It was our last meeting of the semester. And next week, many of them will be graduating and going on to their careers. And so I wanted to talk tonight about finding a career and finding a job. And I have some things to share about how to go about that. Just like last time, I did provide a PowerPoint that we can put up on the website if that's helpful. But I wanted to share some of these things that I have found that some people have published. So in the Harvard Business Review last year, about 9 months ago, they published an article about 4 dimensions to identifying a quality job.
Okay. And, I think it's not the way it shows up is kind of like half partial. If you can go to slideshow, click on that, and where did it go? If you click on slideshow, then it come down, then you click on the second button. Let me open that.
Okay, so keep sharing my screen. That's what I'm hearing you say.
Yes, click on slideshow, and then you click on setup slideshow on the side. Yeah, slideshow, setup slideshow. That button right there.
Setup there.
Yeah, click on that one. Then you go to the second button, browse by individual window. Click on that, then you're okay.
Ah, there we go.
Yeah, then you go full show now, full view of the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
That works well.
Yeah, that works. But you have to click on, there's one more click you have to make to make it smaller. I think it's on the top right, somewhere in there on the top right that you have to click. You know how
I'm using a Mac. Does it help if I do this?
Yeah, make it smaller. If you make it smaller so it fits nicely on the, right now they only see 4 dimensions and that's it. The other things.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. How's this?
Go down. The smaller the better.
The smaller the better.
Yeah, it will
show up. If it gets too small, I won't be able to read my own notes. I'm getting old. You know?
Okay. I wish you send it to me so I format it so that it will show up very nicely on the. So, okay.
There is a copy waiting for you in your email.
Oh.
But I sent it just a few moments before we started tonight. So,
okay. Go ahead and talk and let me get to the email.
Good. Excellent.
Yeah.
So these 4 dimensions, this was published in the Harvard Business Review, put out by Harvard University. And they point out 4 things. The first thing I think is very, very important. It says it must align with your interests. So a job, I believe, should be something you're interested in, something that you have a passion for. Our careers are something that we spend a lot of time in our life. In fact, on a daily basis, on an average day, we're spending 1/3 of our life in our job. We spend about 8 hours a day at our job. We spend about 8 hours a day sleeping. And then we have 8 hours during the day to do whatever we like. And of course, that includes all the other tasks that we have to do. So that's a lot of time in our life that we're spending in our job. So make sure that you're looking for a career that has some interest to you, something that you might enjoy doing. The second and third one go together very well. The second item says it must provide a scope for learning and development, or in other words, it should be something that will allow you to learn.
Dr. Howard, do you mind?
Yes.
Okay, do you mind stop sharing on that so I can put you on your picture on and the PowerPoint? So right now, if you can, probably you see that right now. They show up nicely and hold on one. Okay, it's coming up. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that. I can. No. Okay, I'm on slide number 1. Which slides you want to switch to?
Go to slide number 2.
Yeah, I'm on slide number 2, so everybody can see it very nicely now.
Excellent.
Yeah, go ahead.
Excellent. So we were talking about item number 2, having something that you can learn from and improve skills, especially a first job that you're coming into after your schooling. There's a lot of room for learning and development of new skills. And you may not stay in that job for very long, but you certainly want to make it something that you're learning from, and that you can take more skills to the next job that you go to. And closely related to that, you see number 3, must pave pathways to promotion. So as we go through our career, we want to be able to be promoted into new roles, gain more responsibility. Normally, more responsibility will come with increased pay. As we go through our life and we begin a family, we get more and more responsibilities personally. And so having a higher income over years is important. Plus, it keeps our mind stimulated and helps us to keep pushing ourselves to grow. And then the number 4 thing on this list is it must help you earn the full dollar. And what that means is that you want to have a job that not only pays you a good salary, but brings in other benefits as well. So you don't want to look at only the hourly rate or the salary that you might be paid in that job, but you want to look at what I refer to as the whole package. Do they offer health benefits? Do they offer a 401k plan or a retirement plan? Do they offer other benefits? And you need to compare what you're getting paid with the benefits and how that all fits together. So for instance, this is a very simple example, but let's say you got a sales job. My wife had a sales job a few years ago, and they would pay her mileage in her car after she arrived at her first client's location. So if she had to drive for 45 minutes to her first client, that 45 minutes she had to pay for.
Wow.
And that's a lot of money, especially with gas prices going up right now and so forth.
Yeah.
So what if you had a job that paid you $15 an hour, for instance, but you had to drive 45 minutes each way to your job to start your time on the clock? That's a lot of money going towards gas.
Yeah.
But maybe you have another job offer that pays only $12 an hour, but they give you a company car to drive. So then when you add all of those things together, maybe you're actually further ahead with the $12 an hour job, because you get to bring home more of that money. You don't have to pay for the gas. You don't have to make a car payment, and a lot of other benefits there. So that's what this number 4 item here is. You want to look at the whole package. What are they offering you all together, and compare that to other job offers that you might get.
That's a good point. I know some jobs, I remember one of my niece's husband, that job actually gonna pay for their education to take classes. That, man, when were these jobs when we were it?
That's a great benefit. And working as a full-time employee at the university, that's one of the benefits that I get. And in fact, that's how I got my doctoral degree. My previous university, I was at Idaho State University, and I was on the faculty there, but I only had a master's degree. And in order for me to stay, for them to keep me long-term, they wanted me to complete my doctoral degree. So I found a program at the university there that I was working at, and they gave me a great tuition discount and allowed me to work full-time while I was going to school. I think I added things up one time, and my entire doctoral degree only cost me about $1,000.
I think you and I are on the same boat, except my wife will say that I'm a freeloader. So,
because she's working at the university and giving you the free tuition.
Somebody gotta have the blessing. So
that's true.
But
yes, you want to take advantage of that blessing if you have access to it.
But those are the kind of jobs that sometimes you gotta look for and then figure out how much he get paid, what are the benefits, and which one will give me the most, what do they call, most bang for the buck.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what we're talking about. And in fact, you want to look at the benefits and see if they're benefits that you will take advantage of. So for instance, in my stage of my career right now, if I had a job that offered me free tuition, I don't know that it would do me much good. I already have a doctoral degree. I have many years of experience. I don't know that I'm interested in going back for more education. The same is true if they're offering paternity or maternity leave. I'm not having any more children, and my wife isn't either. So we don't need that benefit.
Yeah.
But if you're a young family, or maybe you're even still single and thinking you'll get married eventually, those are important benefits. So you want to look at the benefits and see if they're ones that you will actually use and so forth.
Good point.
I have a few other tips about starting your job search effectively. And I'm going to go through these ones a little bit faster. So if you'll go on to the next slide, number 3, this starts a list of 6 items that will help you in your job search. And I'm going to assume, because last time we talked about education, I'm going to assume that most people that are listening in tonight are getting some kind of education, a community college, a technical school, a university, somehow they're getting education beyond high school, because that's important. That'll prepare you for a better career. So as you're starting your job search, the first thing you want to know is every school like that has a career center. Even high schools have career centers. Colleges, community colleges, technical schools, universities, every single one of them, they have a career center. Go visit your career center and get them to help with your job search. They will have all sorts of tips, all sorts of information that will be valuable in your job search. They will be able to look over your resume and give you some tips on improving your resume. They will be able to do practice interviews. That's something that many people get very, very nervous at, is an interview. So if you practice, then you'll be able to improve and won't be as nervous. Just like playing a sport. You know, if you play volleyball, if you go into the game and you haven't gone to practice all week and you have a big game, you're probably not going to perform very well. But if you practice all week long, then when the game comes, you're better prepared and you're more comfortable with what's going on. The same is true with an interview in your job search.
True.
So the Career Center will also introduce you to some apps like Handshake and Big Interview. I'm more familiar with Handshake myself. That's an app where employers can post job openings, and then students or anyone else that's on the site, they can get on there and submit their application materials. They can communicate with the employer and so forth. That's a great tool. And all these tools the Career Center has access to. So make sure that you get connected to your school's Career Center. And I would suggest that you do that early on. If you're at a 4-year university, go during your freshman year and get introduced to the Career Center and the resources that they have available. One of the nice things that our Career Center at Kansas State has, they have what's called a career closet. And it's a closet full of clothes. And many college students don't have funds to go out and buy a nice suit or a nice business dress or something for those job interviews. The Career Center will allow a student to get up to, in this case at Kansas State, they'll allow them up to 5 items for no cost whatsoever. So you could go in and get a dress shirt, a tie, a jacket, a pair of shoes, and a pair of slacks, and be all dressed for that interview. A woman can go in and get a blouse and a nice business dress, a skirt or a jacket, and maybe even a purse that they can take on that job interview. So the Career Center has great resources like that. Let's go to the next slide. Number 2 is think about what you want to do. We kind of talked about that previously with finding a job that is of interest to you. But the second part of this one is don't pigeonhole yourself. Or in other words, don't get so specialized that you can only do 1 or 2 things in your job. Most job skills carry over into other areas. And so it's a good idea to find ways that you can take the same skills and use them in different types of jobs.
So, Dr. Halleck, how does I know here in the United States, like you have electives and you have major classes. Do they play into those things so that you do not kind of like focus like a tunnel on one area? Like, for example, if I'm a biology and I want to do biology for the rest of my life, and I should pick up something like business or something on the side.
Yes, absolutely. So in our department, in journalism, we require all of our students to do what's called an outside concentration. So that's a total of 12 credits or 4 classes that are all in the same area of some other subject outside of journalism. So like the example you gave here, maybe they go and do some business classes. Maybe we have a student that's interested in movies, so maybe they take some theater classes, or something else. In biology, there's a lot of things that go with biology. Maybe you want to take some entomology classes and learn about bugs. And so you'll take a handful of classes in this other area, and the credits that you take in that area are all counted towards the credits you need to graduate. So they're not extra, they're not wasted credits. They all count towards your required credits to graduate from that school.
Awesome.
So that is those are some ways that you can prevent getting that tunnel vision that you talk about.
Great.
Pigeonholing. So number 3, I kind of alluded to this earlier when I suggested going into the Career Center in your freshman year. Start early. I've seen students that don't start their job search until after they've graduated and they've walked across the stage. And now all of a sudden they have to go out and find a job. And they haven't done a whole lot to work on that previously. Well, usually finding a job takes some time, especially if you're looking for a career job. When you're young and you're looking for, a job to just earn some money, whether you're working at a burger place or you're working at the ice cream shop or delivering newspapers or mowing lawns or whatever, those jobs are pretty easy to get quickly. But when we're talking about a career type job, it takes a little bit more time. And so you want to plan for that and start your job search while you're still in school. Start your job search several months, maybe even a year or 2 years before you need that job. Now, if you're starting 2 years before, you may not be applying for specific jobs, but you'll be doing other activities that will help you grow your network, help you get to know people, and prepare you for that job search.
I like to add an experience I had. We have an intern that applied last year. He was a junior in college, and because he had done so well, we promoted him from intern to assistant, the research and development assistant. He just graduated, and he asked me about a full-time opportunity. And because he works so good with everyone, I went and talked to the vice president of research and development, and she said to me, he does really good job. Whatever you want to offer him and keep him because he works so hard. So he graduated last week, and then, offer him a very good income job to start as a bachelor's degree, So a little bit below 50,000, but that's a good start for him.
That's a very good start for a first job out of college.
Yeah. So if you're gonna look for a job, look 2 years or before that, and make sure you do a good job, so that they can just offer you a full time.
That's perfect, and actually that leads into number 4. Tip number 4 is get an internship. And as an internship coordinator for my department at the university, I would tell you get more than one internship. Get as many internships as you can.
Oh, wow.
Because the internships, they do 2 things. They first of all help you to build your skills and get to know the industry better. But secondly, and maybe more importantly, they help you build your network. So just like the example that you gave us, this young man got a job when he graduated because he started off as an intern. And that internship led to a regular part-time job while he finished school, and that later led into a full-time job after he graduated. And that's a perfect example of what you want to do for yourself as you're getting ready for your career.
Exactly.
So internships sometimes are paid. Those are the great ones. Sometimes they're not paid. And it's a little bit like building your career. You can start with a little teeny internship that's maybe it's working for a different department at your school, at your college, or maybe it's working for a local business in your small town. But then once you have that experience, you can reach out and you can do an internship at a bigger company or bigger organization.
Yeah, of course. And now that you're talking about it, I wasn't thinking about it, but I just feel one of the internship position, there is one more left. So if you have anybody from your area that we're looking for people that, chemistry, biology, have done research like that, and in order to fill the other position. So anybody who knows somebody on the second junior in college that wanted the internship for the summer, hit me up, 801-310-4060.
There you go. There's one great opportunity right there. That's excellent. So hopefully we can find somebody good for you. Maybe if it's an exceptional student that's a sophomore, even.
Yeah, why not?
If they're exceptional, that's a great way to start their internship career. And they build an internship after their sophomore year, and a second one after their junior year, and they'll be even better prepared for a career.
Yeah, if you know anybody looking into food science or something like that, or just biology or chemistry or biochemistry at the Kansas State University looking for internship, just message me, have them send their resume to me via my Gmail. Then I'll connect with them.
We have a lot of food science students there. They do a lot with food. It's an agriculture school, so they do a lot with food. Maybe we can find you someone.
Yeah, I'll hold that position for you, so that will help you.
At that kind of starting salary, maybe I'll take that internship.
No, you're overqualified for these. So.
Well, part of what happens in an internship goes to number 5 on my list here, and that is network. Build your network, build your connections with people, and especially people in the professional world. So you can do that through your your internship. That's another purpose that an internship serves. I get some students who, especially students that are interested in sports, and this is nothing against people that are in sports. There's a lot of great careers that are related to sports, but I get some students who come and they start working for our athletic department as freshmen, which is a great opportunity, great chance for them to learn the skills that they need. But then when it comes time for an internship, they just want to stay at that athletic department at the university and do something different for an internship, but within the same organization. And that restricts them from helping them grow their network. And so I encourage those students to consider other things. If they're interested in sports, we have some professional sports nearby. In fact, a good friend of mine, a Kansas State University alumna, is here in Utah as the voice of the Utah Jazz. Craig Bolerjack, a friend of mine. So, that would be a great way to do an internship if you're interested in sports, do an internship with a professional sports team. And then you increase the people that you know.
So can we have anybody who listening in and their children that fits that contact you for that internship so you can connect them?
Yep. My email address is right here on my Zoom. I don't know if people can see that.
Yeah.
But have them send me an email, and I'll put them in contact.
Awesome.
Internship possibilities. Yeah.
If not, just send me a text to my cell phone, and I'll email or text you back Dr. Tomasi Halaki's email at Kansas State University. Thank you.
Very welcome. So make sure you get a good, strong network, and you meet lots and lots of people. Sometimes those people that you meet are people that you might not think will help you much at the time, but maybe later on down the road, you'll never know. Years ago, I met a young man that would come in. He was a custodian, and he would come into my office while I was working at night and empty my trash can for me. And I got to be good friends with him. And I learned through that he was majoring in nuclear science.
Wow.
And I haven't kept in touch with him, but I'm sure that he has gone on to a great career. And if I was interested in pursuing a career like that, he might end up being someone that could hire me at some point. So you never know who the people are who they're connected to. So be nice to everyone and make lots of friendships.
Okay, can I add one more experience, because that's recently we have a mutual friend of me and a friend of mine at the other university, and he's applying to a different university, and it's interesting. He asked me, so do you know this person? Yeah. How do you know him? He was my classmate. We graduated together. And he said, I'm applying for the doctoral program. And I heard there were over 300 students applied. So he asked me, can you do me a favor and send in my, CV and all of those? It just so happened on the following week he texted me about something else. And after we talked, he said, don't go yet. One more thing. And I asked him, and he said, actually, there are over 500 applicants for the doctoral program. This is for a biochemistry PhD. And then he said, why do you ask? Well, I have this guy that is a friend of my friends, and I was explaining to him, and he said, so what does that have to do with me? Well, he applied to that. And then he said to me, so do you recommend him or you don't? And I told him, well, if you are smart, you're going to accept that kid. He laughed and he said, I know you, I trust you. And 2 months later, the kid called me and said, guess what? I'm accepted to the program. Things like that.
That's a perfect example of how networks can help us grow into our jobs. So, yeah, thank you. That's excellent. So the last tip on this list is an interesting one. It's number 6, says put down the phone. And what it's referring to, so many of us use our phone for everything. It's a very powerful device. We can access the internet from there. We can access social media. We can text people. We can email people. We can do all sorts of things. But the phone has a very small keyboard, and it's not uncommon for us to mistype a word, or with autocorrect, sometimes we get some unique surprises. And you don't want to do that when you're communicating with a professional or a potential employer. So the suggestion here is to use your computer so you can be a little cleaner and more accurate in your typing, and even think about going a step further with that. And some people will write their email in a separate document in a word processor before they finish it, so they can check for spelling errors, they can check for punctuation, they can check for everything is clean and correct, and then just copy and paste that information into your email. And that's a great way to make sure that your communication is professional with those people that you need to be professional with. You know, if I text my friend Afa and I get a typo in there, or autocorrect does something funny, I can fix it, and Afa won't be mad at me. He won't think I'm any less of me. But sometimes when we're dealing with professional people, especially those that we don't know well, we want to make sure that we put our best foot forward and always look sharp and professional.
Absolutely.
So that's the end of this list, but I have a few other tips of my own if we have time for those.
Yeah, go ahead. We have about 15 minutes.
Okay.
About 10 minutes.
So these are tips from Halaki. These are my own tips. One of the things that I require all of my interns to do, by the time they're done with their internship, they're required to have a profile on LinkedIn. That's because LinkedIn is getting to be the place that you go for career types of communication. You go there to find a job, you go there to build your network. All sorts of things are happening there. There's articles and so forth. So get your own LinkedIn profile. Make sure that you do build it up well, and that you're active. That doesn't mean that you have to constantly be on LinkedIn, but maybe once a week or once a day, depending on how you're going about your job search. If it's more urgent, you want to be more active, and customize that LinkedIn profile. Have a good background image, have a nice photo of yourself, and really important, keep it clean. LinkedIn is not like other social media platforms where you can kind of share your goofy things or share what you did on the weekend. You want to keep this very, very professional. And because employers will look at your profile. They'll look at the images that you post. They'll look at the other activity that you post, the articles, anything that you post, and they'll ask themselves, is this the kind of person that I want representing my company? And so it's important to keep your profile clean. And I've included here a link to a video on LinkedIn where the video will teach you how to use your LinkedIn profile to promote your job search. So it's not a very clean link there, but hopefully this PowerPoint will get posted on the website, and that link is active. So you just click on that link and the video will come up. It's a great resource.
Great.
My next tip is to write a blog. And lots of times we think, well, I don't have anything to write about. I'm not interesting. Well, the point is not whether your life is interesting or not. The point is to help improve your writing skills. Just like anything else we do in life, the more you do it, the better you get. The more you write, the better you get as a writer. And if you know how to write well, and you know your grammar and punctuation well, you will always be able to find a job. And that's related to any type of work, science included. Sometimes scientists don't think that they need to write well, but they do. And there's a lot of science communication going on right now, where scientists are required to communicate about the work that they're doing in order to get bigger grants and so forth. So write a blog. Find something that you enjoy and write about it. It doesn't matter if it's related to your career. Maybe you like a particular genre of music. Write about the music that you like. Maybe you like a particular sport or an athletic team. Write about that. Whatever your interests are. Maybe you're interested in politics. Write about politics. And just write a blog and improve your writing skills. The next tip I have is related to our network, building your network and knowing people. And Afa, it sounds like you have played this role for some people based on the stories that you've told us tonight. But this tip is to find a mentor. Find someone who can give you some advice and help coach you as you get ready for your career, or even as you continue in your career. I have people in my life that are mentors, and I've been in my career for a lot of years, but I can still learn and still find new information. So look for people that can coach you and help you. You can do that through social media. There's lots of people out there that are willing to help. You can do that maybe if you're in school, one of your teachers, one of your professors, somebody that you feel a connection with, they can be a mentor. Sometimes you just reach out to people that are doing the kinds of work that you want to do, and you take them to lunch if you know them in person, or maybe you just set up a Zoom meeting with them and talk with them. People are very, very willing to share, especially if you give them the opportunity to talk about themselves.
Yeah.
And, right?
Yeah.
We all like to talk about ourselves. So if you give someone that opportunity, they'll share some great information with you. And then as they see your work and they get to know you better, they'll kind of take you under their wing, and they'll pass along some additional information in a timely fashion.
Yeah.
So just like the story you shared a few minutes ago, Dr. Palu, and about the young man who wanted to get accepted into that program. That's a great mentorship that you played in his life. So find a mentor, and then join a professional organization. And there are lots and lots of professional organizations. Every industry has a professional organization. You'll be surprised by some of these. But they have organizations where people in a particular industry, people in a particular profession can all get together and they can share information with one another. The good thing is, as a student, most of the time you're going to get a discounted rate on the membership fee.
Yep.
And so
very discounted, I might say.
Yes.
$25 and wow.
Yeah, sometimes, it depends on the organization, but they're very, very discounted. Usually at least 50% less than the regular rate.
That's an important part, Dr. Halaki. I wasn't thinking of that, but I'm a member of the American Chemical Society. I'm also a member of the International Food Technology, where a lot of the food science worldwide, we have meetings, international meetings. You can attend or via Zoom. Also a member of Functional Foods for human diseases, which I have presented and share things on Limu, Noni, that kind of thing. And you network with a lot of people, and the students, when they tie into you, they also can access that when you help them, Great point you are making here, my friend.
Yeah, another great example of how those organizations can help in your networking and in your job search. I just got back from several days at a professional conference for the Broadcast Education Association that's connected with the National Association of Broadcasters, which really is an international organization. You meet people from all over the world when you go to the convention, and especially as students, the professionals love to see students there. So if you can find a way to get to the conventions, in addition to your membership. And one other thing that I always tell my students is join these, make sure that just before you graduate, your membership is renewed in any of these organizations that you join or that you want to join. Because then you get the student rate, and it's good for a year after you graduate. So
you're very smart there, my friend. That's very
take
smart
advantage
way.
of those opportunities. So, and my last tip, and this kind of depends on the industry that you're in, but in my industry, it's very easy to do freelance work. Get a job that's just a short-term gig, and maybe I have a lot of students that work for different athletic events in Kansas. They go to Kansas City and they might work for the Chiefs for a game, and they'll get paid just for that one game that they work. Maybe they'll work for the Royals or another sports team, or some other way that you can do freelance work. Because my students are doing work with video and photography and social media. Some of them get jobs with weddings. That's another thing that they can do. Not every industry lends itself to this type of work, but if your industry does allow for that, try some part-time or freelance work. And that will, again, expand your network, build your skills, and help you be better prepared as you look for your career. So those are Halaki's tips, and
awesome.
Hopefully those are helpful.
This is awesome, my friend. Very helpful. And I know if our viewers and especially their children, grandchildren who are getting ready to graduate or going from high school to college, those kind of things, and these things will be very helpful to them. I wish that these things were available to me. After graduating from BYU Hawaii, but majority of these things, they were not. So our youth today are more equipped, so to speak, in order to find better jobs than we have done, but also by working together with us, they can basically tie into us, increase their network and their reach on other things that they were not able to reach into because they didn't have the network. you know.
That's absolutely true. And that's what we're here to do. And at this point of our careers, right? We want to give back and help those young people to improve their lives and get better jobs and get better education and grow and do great things.
Yeah, absolutely, my friend. And we have only 2 minutes left. So if you have one last thing, share it, and that will be all. Thank you.
Well, the last thing I already mentioned earlier, but I'll share it again. Just a note that a job is that we enjoy is so important, because we spend 1/3 of our life, 1/3 of every day in our workplace. And that's a lot of time. So I want to just encourage people to pursue a career that they enjoy. That's important to me. There's a lot of jobs out there that will pay a lot of money, but you have to do some things that are not very enjoyable in order to do that. Find a career that you enjoy, something that you will be passionate about for years to come, and you'll be much happier in life.
Okay. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you, and glad to be connected again, and make sure that let your students know about this intern in a dietary supplement industry will be great.
Absolutely. Yes. It's always a pleasure to connect with you. Always a pleasure to be on your show. And I'll look forward to next time to be together with you.
Thank you. And good night.
Good night to you as well.
Bye-bye.
Ofa.
Yeah.
Ofatu.
Yep. Ofatu, Ko iai hoeki mo hamtapule ko lavaia o programa ko ia pe me he substation ko ni ai painga wa ke tanflau. Wa fe et ki motolo ke mo me atu ki he main station ko ia painga wa ke tanflau ai ku San Francisco, California. Tai me me son to la mahiri. Emily tof mahiri mo ni ke te nau fai hanga hi programa ma ki motolo. Ka lava ia programa he fiafini fra Malo Heni kia tema Hankin mo Bobby Hansen kama fo kia togeta Thomas Haraki me he makau walu I he vahe lerei pe whakatawange aonga ai ngahi mea me vahe fiafini kia te koe pe a moe whamiri ke whakalagalaka maua I pe pea koki motolu ko ia e kei a hire programa ko ia a San Francisco, California fa fe et motolu ki mo me atu ki he substation ko ia I Honolulu, Hawaii o ki ai a siwaki di vai moni ke te nau whai anai programa ma ki motolu pea oa na ngalo e wameni mai pe e ose programa ko ia mi Honolulu, Hawaii e hauka lewa a programa whamafola rea pe mo televisione pe mi he substation ko ia I nuka la whatonga ai paenga o I wahake tariwhalau pe koe hiri nau programa koe lava ia hua wafa ai whai programa ai paenga o I wahake tariwhalau ma au e ko mau whatongia ke whakatahataha I ai tonga I ngai tapa kehe o I kolope I he paenga o I wahake tariwhalau koe paenga I wahake tariwhalau tike mau meai ai ngahi kaipola kehe katoa pe mehi ako mo ilerei isnisi pe mo ngahi programa kehe ko atu ma au honga ka tek matolo mo mea mai ki he paenga I wahake tariwhalau ka koe lawai e whai whatongia me he substation koe ni BYU Provo substation e paenga I wahake tariwhalau ka mo mea